Chapter 16:19. They left the village and moved forward under the night sky. Because they were carrying many things, the speed of their footsteps could not be compared to normal. It was not until more than a day later that Lin Tian and Wu Yi entered a large mountain and came to a place in the center of the mountain. Looking around, this place was flatter than other places. There was a wooden house in front of them, and there were many green plants nearby. There was a small stream flowing more than 100 feet away. Because it was deep in the mountains, the water was very clear, and they could clearly see the stones at the bottom of the stream. Wu Yi looked around, and his eyes finally fell on the wooden house in front of them. The wooden house was not luxurious, but it was undoubtedly many times better than the houses of the 30 families in the village. In the future, this will be our new home in this world, Lin Tian said with a smile. He invited Wu Yi into the house, and then quickly put away some of the daily necessities he brought from the village. After a simple rest for 4 hours, Lin Tian took a hoe and walked to a large open space not far away. "What are you doing?" Wu Yi asked him. "Planting some fruits and vegetables, etc." Lin Tian said with a smile. "Now that we are suppressed to ordinary people, we need to eat and drink like ordinary people. In addition, we don't know how long we will be trapped in this world, so we need a basic source of food." Before leaving the village, he used the beast meat he hunted in the mountains to exchange with the villagers for rice, fruits, and other things that he did not need to worry about in the short term. At the same time, he also exchanged for some basic fruits and vegetable seeds. Now, he was ready to plant some seeds that could be planted. As for the planting and harvesting methods, he was very familiar with them. After all, before he embarked on the path of cultivation, he lived on Earth for 20 years. Simple planting and harvesting of fruits and vegetables was very common on Earth. In this place, the open space was very large, and there were many kinds of grass. He used the hoe he brought from the village to dig up some of the weeds in the open space. The soil below was not very fertile, but it could be said to be good. This was mostly related to the fact that this place was deep in the mountains and there was a small stream flowing nearby. After removing the weeds, he turned the soil, making the soil loose, and then prepared to plant the vegetables. "Can I help?" Wu Yi looked at him and asked. Lin Tianwei was stunned. "You know how? Teach me," Wu Yi said. Obviously, she wouldn't. Lin Tian paused for a moment, then smiled and said, "Okay." This was not a difficult task, and Wu Yi was also very intelligent. After he gave a simple summary, Wu Yi learned it. After about 6 hours, the two of them stopped. They had planted a portion of the fruits and vegetables that could be planted and harvested quickly. "In about 10 days, we should be able to harvest some fresh vegetables," Lin Tian said to Wu Yi. After saying that, he looked at the soil on his hands and couldn't help but want to laugh. They were two powerful cultivators, a true immortal and a half-step god king, but now they were plowing a field to grow vegetables. However, this was also very interesting. The sky gradually darkened, and darkness soon descended. Stars soon adorned the firmament. They temporarily settled down in this mountain. A few days later, Lin Tian went to other places to continue exploring this world. Day and night alternated, and the 4 seasons changed. From the first time he and Wu Yi were involved in this world, 300 years had passed in the blink of an eye. During these 300 years, he had been to many places in this world. He had never given up looking for a way to leave this world, but unfortunately, he still had no clue. On this day, after exploring a certain area, he was walking back. When he was walking in a mountain, he suddenly heard a very dense beast roar in front of him, and the ground was rumbling. He looked over and saw an old man about 60 years old being chased by hundreds of wild beasts. His clothes were dirty, and he screamed from time to time. This person, looking at the dirty old man, Lin Tian could not help but frown, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. At this time, the old man was being chased by hundreds of wild beasts. He seemed to be in a very sorry state. He screamed from time to time, but there was not the slightest trace of fear in his eyes. Moreover, from time to time, he would be able to crush the smaller wild beasts in front of him with his bare hands. This was definitely not something an ordinary hunter could do. Not to mention that the old man did not have any hunting knives or spears, nor could he crush the smaller wild beasts in front of him with his bare hands. Just the fact that the old man did not show the slightest trace of fear while being chased by hundreds of wild beasts at the same time was enough to show that the old man was not an ordinary person. A cultivator? Looking at the old man, his eyes narrowed slightly. In the blink of an eye, he was certain that this old man was definitely a cultivator. Thinking of this, he was somewhat moved. Apart from him and Wu Yi, there were other cultivators trapped in this world. "Boy, hurry up and help me." Almost as soon as he focused his eyes on the dirty old man, the old man also noticed him. After shouting at him, he directly ran in his direction. And as the old man ran in his direction, the hundreds of wild beasts chasing after him naturally also rushed in his direction. The ground could not help but tremble a little, and waves of dust and dirt flew up one after another. F***CKU. Lin Tian could not help but curse, then turn around and ran. This old man actually ran in his direction with hundreds of wild beasts. This was simply forcing a disaster onto him. Now that he was suppressed to an ordinary person, he could easily deal with a few wild beasts. But if he encountered hundreds of them at once, it would definitely be a huge disaster. There was no way he could deal with it. Moreover, although he still had the immortal body and would not die under normal circumstances, if he was eaten by a group of wild beasts, he would definitely die. "Boy, why are you running? Don't run, help me." "Boy, you are a dignified and strong young man. But now you are helplessly watching an old man in his twilight years being besieged by a group of crazy wild beasts. But instead of helping, you just turned around and ran. Does your conscience not hurt?" The old man shouted as he ran towards him. "Scram!" Lin Tian scolded. This old man was running faster than him, and the distance between them was quickly closing. How dare he call himself an old man in his twilight years? You actually told a weak old man to scram? Don't you know how to respect the old and love the young, boy? The dirty old man shouted. "Respect your grandfather." Lin Tian wanted to kick this old man. He gathered the strength in his legs and rushed forward quickly. The dirty old man kept running behind him. When he changed direction, the old man would change direction as well. And the hundreds of wild beasts naturally followed behind the dirty old man and rushed towards him. Rumble. The ground was constantly shaking, and more dust and dirt flew up. Some of the less thick trees were broken by the hundreds of wild beasts. The dirty old man quickly caught up to Lin Tian. As he ran, he tilted his head and said to Lin Tiandao, "Boy, when you see injustice on the road, you should draw your sword to help. But you only care about running away, turning a blind eye to this old man's dangerous situation. Really not kind." Lin Tian gritted his teeth. He really wanted to stab him to death. Behind him, hundreds of wild beasts roared and rushed crazily, shaking the ground even more violently. Lin Tian looked back and once again gathered the strength to speed up his escape. At this time, he had no time to care about the unscrupulous old bastard next to him. After all, under the situation of being suppressed to an ordinary person, being chased by hundreds of wild beasts could almost be considered a dead end. Because all of these wild beasts were very fierce, and their speed was not slow. If they really caught up to him, he would definitely end up in the stomachs of these wild beasts. He tried his best to run forward. After dozens of breaths, the road in front of him was suddenly cut off. It was like a cliff. "Boy, you're leading the way too badly." Next to him, the dirty old man stared. Scram! Lin Tian's desire to stab him to death grew stronger. Roar! Roar! The beast's roars were ear-piercing, and the ground rumbled. Hundreds of wild beasts rushed here, each of them more ferocious. Lin Tian looked at this scene, then looked down the cliff. Without the slightest hesitation, he directly jumped down. This cliff was dozens of feet deep. For him, who was suppressed to an ordinary person, jumping down from this height could be said to be very dangerous. However, if he did not jump, he would definitely die if the hundreds of wild beasts behind him rushed over. Therefore, at this time, jumping down the cliff was naturally a wise choice, and also the only choice. In addition, at the bottom of this cliff, he saw many lush trees. With the branches of these lush trees as a buffer, the risk would be reduced. Moreover, he had the immortal body, so jumping down like this would definitely not endanger his life. Of course, it was inevitable that he would suffer some injuries. Whoosh! Almost at the same moment he jumped down the cliff, the dirty old man jumped down as well. Hundreds of wild beasts saw Lin Tian and the dirty old man jump down the cliff and slowly came to a stop. Although they were only ordinary wild beasts and did not have the intelligence of a human, they would not foolishly jump down the cliff as well. Then, in the next moment, hundreds of wild beasts suddenly broke out into a fight, and beasts' blood splattered everywhere. After all, these wild beasts were not of the same species. After losing a common target, it was natural that they would kill each other. After Lin Tian jumped down the cliff, he crossed dozens of feet in the blink of an eye and landed at the bottom of the cliff. Just as he expected, with the branches of the lush trees at the bottom of the cliff as a buffer, he jumped down from a height of dozens of feet with his current mortal body. Although he suffered some injuries, they were not serious, and only a little painful. Boy, after surviving a great disaster, you're bound to have good fortune in the future. The dirty old man jumped down the cliff together with him, landing dozens of feet away from him. He grimaced as he spoke to Lin Tian. It was obvious that he had suffered some injuries just like Lin Tian. Old bastard. Chapter 16:20. Looking at the dirty old man dozens of feet away, Lin Tian gritted his teeth fiercely. This old thing, for some reason, made him so unlucky. He was actually forced to jump off a cliff. You're a cultivator? He resisted the urge to slap the old man to death and asked. The dirty old man looked at Lin Tian and said, living in this broken cage, you know that I'm a cultivator. As expected, you're also a cultivator. He didn't answer Lin Tian's question directly, but the meaning of his words was quite clear. It was indeed as Lin Tian guessed, he was a cultivator. Lin Tian was naturally able to discern this point. How did you fall into this world? Lin Tian asked. I was tricked by two old bastards. The dirty old man rolled his eyes and then gritted his teeth fiercely. Lin Tian laughed and cursed in his heart. Serves you right. What about you, kid? How did you fall in? The dirty old man asked Lin Tian. None of your business. Lin Tian Dao. Dirty old man opened his mouth and stared at Lin Tian with his eyes wide open. Lin Tian glanced at the dirty old man, stood up, stretched his body, looked around, and walked into the distance. Naturally, he could tell which direction the home he built in this world was in with just a few glances. Kid, you're leaving just like that? The dirty old man shouted. Lin Tian was too lazy to pay attention to the other party. He ignored the other party's voice and walked in a fixed direction. Soon, he was far away. About 6 hours later, he crossed a few mountains and returned to the wooden house he had built. What's wrong? Wu stood in front of the wooden house and saw Lin Tian return with some injuries on his body. She asked Lin Tian Dao. Nothing much. I just ran into an old bastard and got dragged into this mess. Lin Tian smiled casually. Wu didn't continue to ask. Lin Tian said goodbye to her and went back to the house to tidy himself up. At dusk, a faint aroma wafted out. Lin Tian had cooked some cooked dishes and placed them on the round wooden table in front of the house. The round wooden table was naturally made by Lin Tian. Usually, he and Wu ate at this table. This is, a familiar voice sounded, and a dirty old man rushed out. Looking at the cooked dishes cooked by Lin Tian on the round wooden table, his eyes lit up and his body trembled slightly, as if he had found the most heaven-defying divine treasure. It's you! Lin Tian gritted his teeth. The old bastard who had caused his misfortune had actually followed him to this place. Wu looked at the dirty old man who suddenly rushed out, then looked at Lin Tian. In an instant, she knew that this dirty old man was the old bastard that Lin Tian had mentioned before. Beside the round wooden table, the dirty old man's hands moved very quickly. With a whoosh, he grabbed Lin Tian's wooden chopsticks and picked up a handful of cooked cabbage on the wooden table, chewing and swallowing it. Then, in the next moment, his body trembled and his voice trembled. It was unknown whether he was extremely excited or extremely sad, but he looked like he was about to cry. I was tricked by those two old bastards into this broken cage. I ate the meat of wild beasts and birds that were hundreds of thousands of years old, chewed on the bark and roots of trees that were hundreds of thousands of years old, swallowed hundreds of thousands of years old leaves and grass, and finally, I can taste normal food. Lin Tian. He originally wanted to beat this old bastard up, but when he heard the other party's sad story, he was quite speechless. How many years had this old bastard been in this world? It sounded like he had lived an extremely miserable life these years. Almost as he was thinking about this, the dirty old man moved very quickly. With a few swishes, he cleaned the 2 dishes that he had cooked. Then, he tilted his head and looked at him with an eager expression. Do you have more? Lin Tian's forehead was covered in black lines, and his face darkened. He turned around and took out a hunting knife from the house. Kid, don't mess around. A gentleman uses his mouth, not his fists. The dirty old man trembled and slipped away like the wind. Lin Tian put away the hunting knife and did not chase after him. In this world, time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. In these 3 years, Lin Tian was still constantly looking for a way to leave this world. The only change was that there was one more person beside him. The dirty old man was always following him. Moreover, every time he returned to cook, the other party would pop out and shamelessly freeload his food and drink. This caused him to gradually feel helpless from his initial desire to chop the other party to death. This was because the other party was truly too shameless. Shameless to the point that he deeply believed in a certain saying, "A shameless person is invincible." After that, he did not ask for the old man's name and directly gave him the nickname of Old Gangster. He felt that it was very suitable for this old bastard. You've been trapped in this world for so long. Haven't you found any clues to leave this world? On this day, at dusk, Lin Tian asked the old gangster in front of the round wooden table outside the house. No. The old gangster shook his head and looked at Lin Tiandao. This old man doesn't want to discourage you, but kid, it's basically impossible to leave this broken cage. Back then, when this old man was first tricked into this broken cage by those 2 old bastards, I was just like you are now, constantly searching for a way out. Once I searched for a way out for hundreds of thousands of years. Unfortunately, no matter how I searched, I found nothing. It was impossible to leave this broken place. Lin Tian heard this and could not help but frown. Beside him, Wu, he was very calm. Or it could be said that she had always been very calm when she was trapped in this world. The old hoodlum looked at Lin Tian and said, "That's why, kid, you should just give up. No matter how you search for a way to leave this world, you won't be able to find anything in the end. Don't waste your time pointlessly. Just peacefully live a simple life with that little girl by your side. You can even have a baby after some time. Isn't that better than wasting your time endlessly?" Lin Tian heard this and could not help but stare. He looked at Wu Yi beside him and glared at the old gangster. "What nonsense are you talking about? We are not in that kind of relationship." "Nah." The old gangster also stared. He looked at Wu Yi beside Lin Tian and then looked at Lin Tian again. Look at this little girl's eyes. They are clearly filled with strong feelings. How can it be that they are not in that kind of relationship? Hearing the old gangster say such blunt words in front of Wu Yi, even though Lin Tian had lived for hundreds of years, he could not help but blush. "You saw wrongly." "Saw wrongly? Impossible. No matter what, I have lived for so many years. How can I see wrongly?" The old gangster obviously did not feel Lin Tian's guilt and embarrassment at this moment. In order to prove that he did not see wrongly, he glared at Lin Tiandao. "You dare say that you don't like this little girl? Swear an oath. If there is a mistake, may the heavens strike lightning and cut off your bloodline." Lin Tianyi trembled and almost blurted out of F***CK. "This damn old bastard is too vicious. Come on. Swear an oath for me to hear." The old gangster really wanted to prove that he did not see wrongly. Lin Tian clenched his fists so tightly that they made cracking sounds. He turned around and pulled out a long spear from the house. The old gangster's eyes widened. "Brat, what are you doing?" Lin Tian tightly held onto the long spear and walked towards the old gangster step by step. At this time, the old gangster finally felt Lin Tian's guilt and embarrassment. Thinking back to his words just now, he could not help but tremble and immediately run away. Lin Tian's cheeks were dark and red. He held onto the long spear in his hand and directly chased after him. Wu Yi sat by the round wooden table as he watched Lin Tian chase after the old hoodlum's back. His calm eyes slightly fluctuated, and his calm face became a little dazed. Lin Tian left the wooden house and chased after the old gangster with the long spear in his hand. The long spear in his hand whistled through the air. "Old bastard, don't run. I promise I won't stab you to death." He gritted his teeth and cursed, which was rare for him. "Brat, you're flying into a rage out of humiliation." The old gangster trembled and ran away like he was flying. "We can sit down and talk peacefully. There's no need to use violence." "Talk your grandpa." Lin Tian waved the long spear in his hand. A thick old tree in front of him was smashed into pieces by him, with chips flying everywhere. The old gangster stared at him. "Brat, you've been suppressed to an ordinary person, but you still have so much strength?" That old tree was more than 10 feet in diameter. It was very difficult for an ordinary cultivator of the Sea of Consciousness realm to smash it into pieces. However, Lin Tian, who had been suppressed to the level of an ordinary person, actually smashed it into pieces with a single spear. This made the old gangster feel a chill down his spine. Lin Tian gritted his teeth and glared at the old gangster. He chased after him with the long spear in his hand, and the air kept making whooshing sounds. Facing Lin Tian's angry face, the old gangster shuddered. "Calm down, brat, calm down. Calm is a blessing." Lin Tian didn't say anything. He chased after him with the long spear. The mountain was almost in chaos because of this. One of them ran, and the other chased. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. 3 days later, Lin Tiando had chased the old hooligan to an unknown place. Nearby was an unfamiliar short mountain. The mountain was crimson red, as if it had been soaked in blood. The surrounding air was slightly cold, bringing with it a sense of dread. It was also at this time that Lin Tian, who had chased him to this place, suddenly trembled. He immediately stopped, and shock appeared in his eyes. He had chased him to this place. Just a moment ago, he had sensed his sea of consciousness. The 7-colored divine sword at the bottom of his sea of consciousness moved slightly. Although it was only for a moment, and he couldn't sense his sea of consciousness again at this time, he believed that it wasn't an illusion just now. Just now, he really sensed his sea of consciousness, and he really saw the divine sword at the bottom of his sea of consciousness move. Here, he looked at this group of red short mountains, and his eyes couldn't help but flicker. This group of short mountains was unusual. In front of him, the old gangster looked angry. At this time, when he saw Lin Tian suddenly stop, he also stopped. Then he saw the shock in Lin Tian's eyes and immediately felt a trace of abnormality. "Brat, what's wrong?" he asked Lin Tiandao. Chapter 16:21. Strange? What's strange? The old gangster asked in confusion. Strange means strange. Lin Tian didn't give a specific explanation. He glanced at the mountain range and said to the old gangster, "Split up and explore this mountain range carefully. If you find anything special, call out immediately. Maybe you can find a clue to leave this world here." What? Hearing Lin Tian's last sentence, "Maybe you can find a clue to leave this world here," the old gangster obviously didn't believe it. He squinted at Lin Tiandao and said, "Boy, are you kidding me? Cut the crap and search." Lin Tiandao. After saying that, he didn't give the old gangster time to think or ask more questions. He directly began to explore the Crimson Mountain Range. The old gangster didn't believe Lin Tian's, "Maybe you can find a clue to leave this world here." After all, he had been trapped in this world for too long. In such a long time, he had never found any clue to leave this world. However, looking at Lin Tian's extremely serious expression, he couldn't help but feel that there might really be a clue to leave this world here. In the final analysis, the reason why he had such an idea was that in addition to Lin Tian's serious expression, he also wanted to leave this world very much. Immediately, he looked in another direction. Just like Lin Tianyi, he seriously explored this black mountain range. In the blink of an eye, a full 12 hours passed. Boy, are you sure you're not making fun of me? You purposely said that there might be clues to leave this world here, so that this old man would have hope and search this mountain range with blazing hope. Finally, you told this old man that you were wrong, so that this old man would feel despair and taste the feeling of falling from heaven to hell? The old gangster bared his teeth. In 12 hours, the two of them had explored more than half of this mountain range, but they didn't find anything special. Lin Tian didn't bother to pay attention to the old gangster. He frowned slightly. After coming here, the divine sword in his sea of consciousness did move just now. He was sure that this place was definitely unusual. However, they had searched more than half of this place, but they didn't find anything strange. Buzz! Suddenly, a buzzing sound came from his head. In an instant, he sensed his sea of consciousness again. He saw the divine sword at the bottom of his sea of consciousness move, and a faint seven-colored divine light spread out from his sea of consciousness to the east. A bright light flashed in his eyes. He looked to the east of the mountain range and ran in that direction. What happened? Seeing Lin Tian's action, the old gangster immediately followed Lin Tian and ran towards the east of the mountains. The two of them were currently suppressed to ordinary people. However, their speed was naturally several times faster than ordinary people. Very quickly, they ran far away. After dozens of breaths, the two of them came to a stop. A large crack appeared in front of them. It was about 1 meter wide and 10 meters long. It was pitch black below, and they couldn't see the bottom. Waves of icy aura floated out from below. Lin Tian looked at the crack, and his eyes glowed. After coming here, he once again felt his sea of consciousness. The divine sword at the bottom of his sea of consciousness trembled again. Although it was only for a moment, it made him realize that there was definitely something unusual under this large crack. Brat, you came all the way here just to see this crack? When the old hoodlum saw Lin Tian staring at the crack without blinking, he couldn't help but feel a little strange. He didn't feel anything special about this crack. It was just that there was some cold aura coming from below. This wasn't a big deal, because the aura in the space below was colder than on the ground. Go down? Lin Tiandao. He had been trapped in this world for more than 300 years. He could not use his cultivation, and his physical strength had become similar to that of an ordinary person. Under such circumstances, he chased after the old hoodlum to this place. The divine sword in his sea of consciousness suddenly trembled a few times because of this crack, causing him to be able to sense his sea of consciousness for a few moments. This made him a little excited. He was sure that there must be something unusual under this crack. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the divine sword in his sea of consciousness to tremble. As long as he found the thing that made the divine sword tremble, they might really be able to leave this world. Go down? Down here? The old gangster looked down at the bottomless crack and said with a frown, "Boy, it's hard to say how deep this crack is, but it's at least 10,000 feet deep. We've been suppressed to the level of an ordinary person, and even our physical bodies are not much stronger than an ordinary person. If we go down so deep, if we accidentally fall, we'll be in trouble. We'll probably be smashed into meat paste. At that time, even if we have an immortal body, we'll die." He glanced at Lin Tian, and then he looked down at the crack and continued, "Besides that, the deeper we go, the lower the temperature will be. With our current cultivations, we're unable to utilize even a shred of it, so we won't be able to endure too low of a temperature. Cut the crap. Go down." Lin Tiandao. As he spoke, he directly went down the crack. He naturally understood the old gangster's concerns. He knew that going down the crack was very dangerous for them now. If they were not careful, they might die. But even so, he couldn't back down. He had to go down and find the thing that made the divine sword in his sea of consciousness tremble. That might be their only hope of leaving this world. He didn't want to be trapped in this world forever. There were still many of his family and friends outside this world. He carefully went down the crack, and in the blink of an eye, he was already about 10 feet deep. The old gangster had a lot of concerns about going down the crack, but at this moment, seeing that Lin Tian had already begun to go down, he rolled his eyes and didn't stay on the ground alone. He also went down with Lin Tianyi. The two of them went down. In the blink of an eye, a quarter of an hour had passed, and 3,000 feet of distance was left over their heads. In the process of climbing down 3,000 feet, Lin Tian's hunting spear played a big role. Although the crack was very deep, it was only about 1 meter wide, and the hunting spear was about 2 meters long. From time to time, they could lean the hunting spear between the cracks and rest for a while. But even so, the process was still difficult for them. At one point, they felt their hands and legs go numb. The two of them stopped for a while and continued to go down. Soon, they were 3,000 feet deep. After going down this distance, a very troublesome problem arose. That was, the temperature of the air had become very low. For the two of them who were suppressed to the level of an ordinary person, it was really bad. Not only did it make their bodies feel very uncomfortable, but it also made it more difficult for them to go down. What a pain! The old gangster bared his teeth. Kid, if we can't find a way to leave this broken cage, this old man will bite you to death. Lin Tian was too lazy to pay attention to him. His movements were slow and careful as he continued to go down. The old gangster gritted his teeth and followed him down. The air became colder and colder. As they went deeper and deeper, the two of them only felt that they could be frozen at any time. In this regard, Lin Tian was somewhat helpless. The two of them were obviously powerful immortal level cultivators, but in this world, even withstanding such a low temperature was very uncomfortable. It was really a little depressing. Continue, he said to himself, and continued to go down. As time passed, as he and the old gangster went deeper and deeper, the temperature became lower and lower, making them feel as if the blood in their bodies was about to be frozen. After another quarter of an hour, they climbed to the end of the crack. There was no road below, but they still couldn't see where the bottom was. However, when they reached the end of the crack, although the road was gone, there was a thick ancient tree that happened to grow at the end of the crack. There were many green vines on it, like a big snake. Both of them were powerful cultivators, so they were naturally not surprised by this scene. Lin Tian grabbed a vine and continued to go down along the top of the ancient tree. The old gangster followed him, also grabbing a vine, and went down along the ancient tree. After another quarter of an hour, they finally arrived at the bottom of the ground. As far as the eye could see, the underground world was somewhat vast, but it was dim. Among them, the low mountains were connected to one another, and many places were surrounded by white fog. The air was very cold, so cold that it made the two of them shiver involuntarily. Lin Tian scanned his surroundings. In the blink of an eye, his gaze landed on a small tree beside the towering tree. The tree was filled with purple fruits. They were about the size of a fist, and there were quite a number of them. All of them had a purple luster to them. Purple woodine fruit. Lin Tian's eyes were slightly cold. The purple woodine fruit was an extraordinary treasure of heaven and earth. Anyone below the golden immortal level who took a purple woodine fruit and refined it could raise their cultivation by a small level in a short time. There's actually such a thing here? The old hoodlum revealed a strange expression. It wasn't because of the purple woodine fruit itself, but because there was no spiritual energy or immortal spiritual energy in the air in this prison of heaven and earth that could suppress even a god emperor to the level of an ordinary person. It should have been impossible for any kind of heavenly treasure to grow. However, there was a purple woodine tree here, and there were many purple woodine fruits on it. This made him feel that something was off. Chapter 1622. Looking in the southeast direction of the underground space, Lin Tian was surprised. Just now, when he sensed the vibration of the seven-colored divine sword in his sea of consciousness, he clearly sensed the aura of the sword's soul fragment in the southeast direction of this space. In this cage of heaven and earth, in this underground space, there was actually a sword's soul fragment. This surprised him, but at the same time, he couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. Previously, when the divine sword in his body vibrated several times, he could sense his sea of consciousness in an instant. When the divine sword emitted the seven-color divine light, this feeling became even clearer. According to this reaction, If the divine sword was able to release enough seven-color divine light to fill every corner of his body, it would definitely be able to produce an even greater change. He might be able to use this to directly break free from the suppression of this world and be able to use his own cultivation for a short period of time. Now, he sensed the aura of the sword's soul fragment in this underground space. According to the situation, every time he found a sword's soul fragment in the past, as long as he found the sword's soul fragment here and let it enter his body and merge with the divine sword at the bottom of his sea of consciousness, the divine sword would emit enough seven-colored divine light to fill every corner of his body. Thinking like this, he directly came to a conclusion. As long as he could find the sword's soul fragment in this underground space and integrate it into his body, there was a great possibility that he could break free from the suppression of this prison of heaven and earth in a short period of time. Then he could use his cultivation again. And as long as he could use his cultivation, leaving this world would be as easy as flipping his hand. Immediately, he directly headed in the southeast direction of this underground space. He didn't even pick the purple wood-een fruit in front of him, because no matter how extraordinary the purple wood-een fruit was, it would only be useful to him if he could leave this world. Otherwise, it would just be an ordinary wild fruit. At this time, the most important thing was to quickly find the sword's soul fragment in this space and find the sword's soul fragment. After finding the sword's soul fragment and merging it with his body, if he could really break free from the suppression of this world for a short time as he guessed, it wouldn't be too late to return here to take all the purple wood-een fruits. Then, he would return to the wooden house and leave this cage of heaven and earth with Wu-Yi. The old gangster saw Lin Tian running towards the southeast of this space. Although he didn't know what Lin Tian had discovered, he still followed him all the way. Lin Tian's speed was very fast. Running in this underground world, he quickly ran far away from the ancient tree from before. Rumble! Suddenly, the ground shook and the soil burst open. A giant centipede, about 10 feet long, crawled out from the ground. Its entire body was black, and it spat out a poisonous mist. It directly attacked Lin Tian. Lin Tianwei was shocked. Although this centipede did not have any demonic energy fluctuations, it was clearly much stronger than ordinary wild beasts. However, even though he was suppressed to the level of an ordinary person, he was not afraid of it. He held the hunting spear in his hand and used it like a stick. With a powerful smash, it landed on the head of the giant centipede. With a bang, the giant centipede was directly smashed to the ground and immediately stopped moving. After that, he continued to run towards the southeast, and the old gangster followed behind him all the way. After that, as they ran towards the southeast of this underground world, many wild beasts rushed out one after another. Although they did not have any demonic energy fluctuations, they were not ordinary wild beasts. They were all very powerful and ferocious. However, fortunately, these wild beasts did not rush out in groups at once. Therefore, it was not difficult for Lin Tian and the old gangster to deal with them. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 hours had passed. At this time, following the previous feeling, Lin Tianyi ran towards a group of short hills in this underground world. Once again, he felt the vibration of the divine sword in his sea of consciousness. This time, it was clearer than the previous few times. Then, after another quarter of an hour, he came to a canyon in the group of short hills. In a pit in front of him, a fist-sized colorful light source lay quietly, emitting strands of colorful light. Found it! Lin Tianyi was overjoyed. This fist-sized colorful light source was undoubtedly the fragment of the sword soul that he had been looking for. Behind him, the expression of the old gangster who followed him changed slightly. This thing, looking at this colorful light source, he clearly felt a very powerful fluctuation of divine power. In this prison of heaven and earth, there was actually a light source that could emit fluctuations of divine power in this place. Moreover, he vaguely felt that the reason why this underground space without spiritual energy could grow the purple wood-een tree, produce many purple wood-een fruits, And the reason why the wild beasts in this underground space were many times more ferocious than ordinary wild beasts seemed to be most directly related to this colorful light source. Thinking of this, he could not help but look at Lin Tian again, and a surprised expression appeared on his face. This kid, how did he sense the existence of such a godly source in this place? Looking at Lin Tian, he was a little surprised. When Lin Tian stopped on the ground, he said that he found something strange, and then he came all the way to this place. Obviously, when he was underground, he sensed the colorful light source in this place and found this place, which surprised him a little. Before seeing this colorful light source up close, he did not feel anything at all because under the condition of being suppressed to an ordinary person, he could not use his divine sense, so he could not sense it at all, but Lin Tian sensed it. How did he sense it? Lin Tian was very excited when he saw this fragment of the sword soul. Without hesitation, he stepped directly next to the fragment of the sword soul. Immediately, the divine sword in his body vibrated again, more violently than before, causing the fragments of the seven-colored sword soul to emit strands of divine light, resonating with the seven-colored divine sword in his body. Then, in the next moment, the fist-sized fragment of the sword's soul floated up on its own, completely unaffected by the prison of heaven and earth. Just like before, it slowly rotated around him, and then turned into a colorful light, which directly entered his body. Then, in the blink of an eye, this fragment of the sword's soul arrived outside the colorful divine sword in his body. It paused outside the colorful divine sword for a moment, and then directly entered the colorful divine sword, causing the colorful divine sword to vibrate again. The sword was directly intertwined with a thick, colorful light, and then from the bottom of his sea of consciousness, it spread to all parts of his body. In the blink of an eye, the colorful light filled every corner of his body, and even the light overflowed from the surface of his body. Immediately, his body trembled slightly, and a long-lost feeling surged in his heart. He clenched his fists slightly, and with a thought, the Heart Sutra of Sun was immediately activated. Then, with a boom, a golden divine light surged out, as if a golden flame was burning. It really works? He was surprised and delighted. Just as he had guessed before, at this time, he found the fragment of the sword's soul in this underground space. As the fragment of the sword's soul merged with the divine sword in his body, the colorful divine light filled his body, and he really did break free from the suppression of this world for a short time, and his cultivation of the genuine immortal level could be used again. Next to him, the old gangster was shocked, and his eyes almost popped out. Little boy, he couldn't even speak clearly. At this time, Lin Tian actually emitted a fluctuation of divine power on his own, and his suppressed cultivation was clearly able to be used again, which made the old gangster look as if he had seen a ghost. Lin Tian didn't care about the old gangster's surprise, and the light in his eyes became stronger. Thick, colorful divine light intertwined in his body. At this time, he didn't refine it, because his cultivation could only be used temporarily at this time, and he had to have the colorful divine light fill his body. "Let's go, old man." He raised his hand and grabbed the old gangster. At this time, without any pause, he took a step forward and crossed an endless distance in an instant and appeared next to the purple wood een tree from before. With a wave of his hand, all the purple wood een fruits on the tree, along with the purple wood een tree itself, were taken into his body. Then he grabbed the old gangster and rushed out of the underground space, turned into a human-shaped lightning, and rushed toward the wooden house. Now, the colorful divine light from the divine sword in his sea of consciousness filled his body, allowing him to break free from the suppression of this world for a short time. He didn't know how long this situation could last, so he had to return to Wu Yi's side as soon as possible, and then leave this world with Wu Yi. He was very fast, and it didn't take him long to arrive at the wooden house he built. At this time, Wu Yi was sitting at the round wooden table in front of the wooden house. When he saw Lin Tian rush back here, and saw the golden divine light around Lin Tian's body, a strange light appeared in his eyes. Obviously, he could see that Lin Tian had broken free from the suppression of this world at this time, and his suppressed cultivation could be used again. "Wu Yi, let's leave now." Lin Tian came to Wu Yi's side. At this time, he didn't have time to explain to Wu Yi how he broke free from the suppression of this world and directly punched into the sky. The powerful divine power turned into a golden fist light and pierced through the vast sky, revealing a circular space tunnel. Wu Yi looked at the space tunnel that Lin Tian blasted open in the sky, and then turned to look at the wooden house in this place. There was a faint light in his calm eyes. "What's wrong?" Lin Tian asked. Wu Yi looked away and shook his head gently. "Then let's go." Lin Tian Dao. "Go, go, go. Let's go quickly." The old hooligan was grabbed by Lin Tianyi, and he stared at the space tunnel that Lin Tian blasted open. At this time, he shouted loudly, and he was even more excited than Lin Tian. Lin Tian didn't say much. He grabbed the old hooligan and wrapped Wu Yi in the golden divine light, and then turned into a divine light, directly rushing into the space tunnel that he blasted open. Darkness instantly covered their vision. Then, after an unknown period of time, a trace of light appeared in the dark vision. He led Wu Yi and the old hooligan through the vast darkness and stepped out of the space tunnel. As far as the eye could see, there were huge stars all around, and there was silver starlight everywhere. They were in the starry sky. "We're out." Chapter 16:23. The stars were connected to one another, and they were terrifyingly huge. Silver starlight intertwined around them, making them appear dull yet beautiful. Lin Tian was pleasantly surprised and excited. He had been trapped in the prison of heaven and earth for over 300 years, and now he had finally walked out. "I'm out! I'm out! I'm finally out! I'm finally out!" The old hoodlum shouted excitedly. Only Wu Yi remained very quiet. There was no trace of joy after escaping, and he was like the surface of a still spring. "Kid, not bad, not bad. Ah." The old hoodlum laughed excitedly and patted Lin Tian's shoulder. "As expected of the person I've chosen, you're really not bad. Not bad at all." He didn't know how many years it had been since he was trapped in the heaven and earth cage. Now that he was able to escape from that world because of Lin Tian, he was extremely excited to be able to use his cultivation again. Lin Tian pushed the old hoodlum's hand away. "Who wants to be chosen by an old man? Go back to wherever it's cool." The old hoodlum was still laughing. I know. You want to be chosen by the little girl next to you, and you're complaining that I'm interfering with your time alone. Don't worry, I'll leave right away." As he spoke, he ignored Lin Tian's angry glare. He waved his right hand, and a divine talisman formed from divine light appeared. He stuffed it directly into Lin Tian's hand. "I owe you a big favor. If you encounter any trouble in the future, crush this divine talisman. Even if I'm at the end of the world, I'll immediately rush over to help you." As he finished speaking, he patted Lin Tian's shoulder a few more times. Then, he turned into a streak of divine light and disappeared into the starry sky. Only the sound of teeth-grinding laughter could be heard from afar. "King of Chaos, Sakura, just you wait. You two old things work together to trick me, and I'll kill you too." Lin Tian looked at the divine talisman left by the old hoodlum in his hand. He sensed the aura that the old hoodlum exuded, and he couldn't help but be moved. This aura was powerful yet hazy, and he couldn't see through it at all. "Wu Yi, can you see through that old man's cultivation?" he asked Wu Yi. Wu Yi nodded and said softly, "Peak God Emperor." Lin Tian's hand that was holding the divine talisman immediately trembled, and his body couldn't help but tremble. "Peak God Emperor?" He revealed a shocked expression. When he was in the Wushang domain, he had only heard the old hooligan mention that he had been trapped in that world for close to 1,000,000 years, and had never asked about the other party's cultivation. But who would have thought that this unscrupulous and scoundrel old fellow's cultivation was actually so strong, to actually be at the peak divine lord? This was the pinnacle of the path of cultivation that he knew of. Looking at the direction in which the old hooligan left, he couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. This old hooligan was actually that terrifying. Then he looked at the talisman left by the old hooligan in his hand, and carefully put it away. This was an ultimate killing weapon that could summon a peak divine lord. With this plaything, In the future, when he met the true bodies of existences like Taishang and King of Hell, he reckoned that he wouldn't even need to use Xiao. The starry sky was dim, and the stars were connected to each other. After the old hooligan left, only Lin Tian and Wu Yi were left here. The atmosphere instantly became very quiet. Lin Tian looked at Wu Yi beside him, feeling a little awkward. After all, a few days ago, the old hooligan had said in front of Wu Yi that his eyes were filled with feelings for Wu Yi. Now that he was alone with Wu Yi, he couldn't help but feel a little awkward. However, this awkwardness didn't last long, and he quickly calmed himself down. Wu Yi, where are we going now? He asked. Wu Yi looked at the starry sky in front of her, paused, and said, let's walk around and then go back. Okay. Lin Tian nodded. Naturally, he understood Wu Yi's meaning. She wanted to walk around the starry sky and then go back to the 10-direction sky domain. In fact, he also wanted to go back to the 10-direction sky domain. After all, he had left the 10-direction sky domain for too long. Immediately, the two of them walked slowly in a certain direction. Wu Yi was very quiet. She followed beside him, moving forward with his footsteps, occasionally glancing at the stars around them. By the way, Wu Yi, back in the immortal region's extreme Yin temple, was the ancestral art you used to pure divine ability? Or was it a law? Lin Tian asked Wu Yi. He knew that if he didn't speak, Wu Yi definitely wouldn't speak. At the same time, he really wanted to know the answer to this question. After all, the ancestral art Wu Yi used back then was really terrifying. It could actually defeat all the forces of extreme Yin Temple and Ambush Arrow Palace that Ambush Arrow King had mobilized. That was equivalent to killing a half-step divine emperor in an instant. Wu Yi shook his head. Order. Order? What's that? Lin Tianwei was puzzled. Wu Yi paused, then said softly, right now, you're still very far away from it. If you understand it in advance, it may affect your future cultivation. Clearly, just like how she didn't tell Lin Tian what the nameless law of Tao was, she didn't intend to tell Lin Tian what order was in advance either. For cultivators, it wasn't a good thing to know about things that were far beyond their current cultivation level in advance. Lin Tian sweated but didn't pursue the matter. He paused for a moment, then looked at Wu Yi with a smile. Are you used to speaking like this now? Wu Yi had already recovered his normal cultivation after escaping from the heaven and earth prison. However, he didn't use his divine sense to speak so much. Wu Yi tilted her head and looked at him. Not good. No, it's pretty good, Lin Tian said with a smile. Although the divine sense voice is also very pleasant to hear, it's even better now. Habit was a special kind of power. During the days when he was trapped in the wantless sky domain, he couldn't use his cultivation. Wu Yi had always been speaking like an ordinary person. After more than 300 years, he had already gotten used to this way of speaking. He and Wu Yi walked in the starry sky, looking at the stars in the sky. From time to time, he would find something to talk about with Wu Yi. Is what you said true? The Yuan clan captured a 9-tailed fox in the starry sky. She has already won 79 battles in a row in the Emperor Battle Arena. She even defeated a half-step, immortal-level ferocious beast. Of course, I personally went to the Emperor Battle Arena to see it once. Not only is she very powerful, but she's also very beautiful. Oh, a 9-tailed fox is very rare. According to what you said, not only can she defeat a half-step, immortal-level ferocious beast, but she's also very beautiful. Perhaps it's really worth going to see. 5 middle-aged men appeared in the distance. Their cultivation levels were all in the Emperor realm. They walked into the distance while talking. Lin Tian and Wu Yi walked side by side in the starry sky. They were very far away from the 5 middle-aged men. However, they still heard their conversation and couldn't help but frown. Wu Yi, wait for me here, he said to Wu Yi and walked towards the 5 middle-aged men. Up until now, he had taken in 2 disciples. His first disciple, Yi Tong, was from the human race and had the divine sun eye. His second disciple, Tu Xianxian, was from the fox race. Although he didn't have any special bloodline, his aptitude was extremely shocking, comparable to the monarch body. Now, as he traveled through the starry sky with Wu Yi, he suddenly heard a few cultivators talking. The main topic of discussion was a nine-tailed fox, who was of the same race as his second disciple. He naturally couldn't help but pay some attention to it. His speed was extremely fast. In just a single step, he appeared in front of the 5 middle-aged men in the next moment. "Who is it?" Seeing Lin Tian suddenly appear in front of them, the 5 middle-aged men all frowned. At the same time, they were a little surprised because they didn't see how Lin Tian walked in front of them. "Fellow Taoists, please relax. I don't mean any harm. I just happened to overhear your conversation and want to know more about the nine-tailed fox." Lin Tiandao looked at one of the middle-aged men in yellow robes and said, "I wonder if you can show us the nine-tailed fox's appearance." The middle-aged man in yellow robes was the one who claimed that he had seen the nine-tailed fox once. When he heard Lin Tian's words, he was slightly stunned and then couldn't help but smile. It seems that fellow Taoist is very interested in the nine-tailed fox's appearance. This is also very normal. After all, the fox clan is naturally charming, not to mention that it can grow into a nine-tailed fox. To be honest, in the Emperor Battle Arena, some eternal-level big shots were moved by it. Some big shots even wanted to exchange for the nine-tailed fox with the Yuan family, but they were all rejected by the Yuan family. As he said that, the yellow-robed middle-aged man raised his right hand slightly and directly pulled out a divine sense engraving, showing a young girl with 9 foxtails. Her appearance was beautiful, and her figure was also very graceful, but her limbs were shackled, and her body was stained with a lot of blood. She was currently on a vast and sturdy arena, fighting barehanded with a violent, fierce beast. There were many cultivators watching from the surroundings of the arena, and from time to time, there would be people who would let out excited shouts. "This is the nine-tailed fox. How is it not bad, right?" The middle-aged man in yellow robes smiled, as if he was showing off something. Next to him, the other 4 middle-aged men saw the content of the divine sense imprint and couldn't help but show some excitement. "Yes, she is indeed very beautiful. Her fighting posture is also really good, and her moves seem to be very extraordinary. It is indeed worth watching. No wonder the Yuan family would refuse to exchange for this nine-tailed fox." With this nine-tailed fox's appearance and fighting posture, the Yuan family's Emperor Battle Arena will definitely attract a lot of powerhouses to watch. In a very short time, the Yuan family will be able to collect a very considerable cultivation wealth for the Yuan family. Several people said. It was also at this time that a terrifying chill emerged from the side. Lin Tian looked at the divine sense imprint of the middle-aged man in yellow robes, and a piercing, killing intent immediately spread out. The nine-tailed girl, and it was clearly his second disciple, Tu Xianxian. "Where is the Emperor Battle Arena?" he asked the middle-aged man in yellow robes in a cold voice. He didn't know when his second disciple grew to the nine-tailed realm, and he didn't know how she was caught by the Yuan family. The only thing he knew was that his second disciple's current situation was very bad. She was cruelly used as a fighting beast for other cultivators to watch and collect cultivation wealth. Facing Lin Tian's killing intent, the middle-aged man in yellow robes and the other 4 middle-aged men were all shocked and couldn't help but tremble. The 5 of them were only at the Emperor realm, and now facing the killing intent of Lin Tian, who was at the true immortal realm, they only felt that their souls were about to crack. Yu, the middle-aged man in yellow robes, trembled all over, and at this time his face was pale. Chapter 16:24. Facing Lin Tian's murderous eyes at close range, the yellow-robed middle-aged man almost fainted. His eyes were filled with fear, and he didn't dare to hide anything. He immediately told him everything he knew about the Yuan family's Emperor Arena. Lin Tianyi shook off the yellow-robed middle-aged man, took a step forward, and instantly returned to Wu Yi's side. "Let's go to the vast cloud ancient star," he said to Wu Yi. From the yellow-robed middle-aged man, he learned that the Yuan family's monarch battle arena where Tu Xianxian was imprisoned was located in the vast cloud ancient star, the central imperial star of the vast cloud ancient star area. It was the 5th most powerful star in the universe. At this time, he and Wu Yi happened to be in the vast cloud ancient star field, not far from the center of the ancient star field. Wu Yi heard the conversation between the yellow-robed middle-aged man and the others, and also saw Lin Tian's reaction. Although he didn't know who the nine-tailed girl in the yellow-robed middle-aged man was, he could see that she had a close relationship with Lin Tian. Otherwise, Lin Tian wouldn't show such a strong murderous intent now. Immediately, he and Lin Tian went to the vast cloud ancient star. Both of their cultivations were very powerful, and their speed was faster than lightning. In an instant, they disappeared on the spot. Looking at the figures of Lin Tian and Wu Yi, the yellow-robed middle-aged man, and the others were all trembling. Just now, the murderous intent emitted by Lin Tian was too terrifying, and they didn't dare to move. Especially the yellow-robed middle-aged man. His whole body almost went limp. Vast cloud ancient star, night sky city. Night sky city was vast and huge. For the cultivators on the vast cloud ancient star, almost everyone knew it because this was the ancient city built by the Yuan family, the #1 force on the vast cloud ancient star. There was a Yuan family's beast arena in it. The beast battle arena was called the Emperor Battle Arena. Even the weakest vicious beast in it was at the Emperor rank. They were captured by the Yuan clan from all over the world for the cultivators to watch. Its basic nature was not much different from the prison battle arena of the mortal world. They were both places filled with blood. At this moment, on an enormous battle platform in the Emperor Battle Arena, a delicate young woman with 9 tails was in battle with an ape devil that was an entire 100 m tall, and it caused the crowd of cultivators outside the battle platform to frequently emit excited shouts. These cultivators couldn't be considered weak, and all of them had thick blood chi. Since they'd started cultivating until now, they'd seen many bloody battles between demonic beasts, as well as battles between demonic beasts and humans. However, the feeling they got from watching these battles was different from watching them in the Emperor Battle Arena. Especially at this moment, when they saw a charming fox girl in a bloody battle with an enormous ferocious beast, many people felt excited and novel. This fox girl's battle prowess isn't bad. Her beauty is also exceptional. If I were to tame her in bed, coupled with the fox race's innate charm, the feeling would be, In a pavilion not far from the battle platform, a blue-robed middle-aged man looked at the 9-tailed girl on the battle platform with a lustful look in his eyes. Even so, don't mess around. This was captured by a big shot of the main clan by chance from the starry sky. Now, she's already the most outstanding battle slave in the Emperor Battle Arena. In just a few dozen days, she's collected a huge amount of cultivation resources for the clan. If you mess around, I'm afraid it'll affect her battle prowess and ruin the Emperor Battle Arena's business. We can't afford to take responsibility. Next to him, a brown-robed middle-aged man said so, but his eyes had the same lustful look as the blue-robed middle-aged man. Boom! Roar! In the battle platform, demonic light surged and the ape's roar shook the sky, shaking the entire battle platform as if it would collapse in the next moment. However, it was very difficult to collapse because it was engraved with Tao patterns and array seals. Divine power below the eternal level couldn't damage it at all. At the same time, the battle platform was enveloped by a very powerful eternal level light curtain, isolating the battle platform from the spectating cultivators. The bloody battle inside the battle platform couldn't affect the spectating cultivators outside the battle platform. On the battle platform, the 9-tailed girl's body was stained with blood. There was a hint of fatigue on her delicate face. For the past few months, she had been forced to fight day and night in the Emperor Battle Arena. Her essence, chi, and spirit had been severely depleted. It was useless to resist. The shackles on her limbs had a special technique that she couldn't resist with her current cultivation base. Roar! The ape demon roared ferociously and bloodthirstily. It was comparable to a half-step to a mortal realm human cultivator. The girl was at the middle stage of Emperor realm. Her demonic light was pure, and her techniques were extraordinary. However, at this moment, she gradually became a little embarrassed when facing this powerful ape demon. She was sent flying by the ape demon several times, blood flowing from her mouth and nose. This fox girl can't hold on any longer. After all, this ape demon isn't simple. It's much stronger than ordinary half-step to immortal realm ferocious beasts. The fox girl has already defeated 2 half-step to immortal realm ferocious beasts in a row. Her essence and demonic energy have been greatly depleted. The Yuan family directly released another half-step to immortal realm ferocious beast, and it's several times more ferocious than the previous 2. It looks like the outcome won't be good. Many cultivators discussed. At the same time, in a pavilion not far from the battle platform, the blue-clothed middle-aged man and the brown-clothed middle-aged man who were in charge of the Emperor Battle Arena had ugly expressions. The nine-tailed girl was their Emperor Battle Arena's most outstanding battle slave. Every day, she could gather a considerable amount of cultivation wealth for the Emperor Battle Arena. If she died now, the Emperor Battle Arena would suffer a great loss. Damn it, let me win. The blue-clothed middle-aged man stared at the nine-tailed girl and clenched his fist tightly. According to the rules of the Emperor Battle Arena, once the prisoner battle started, it couldn't be stopped unless one party died. Even if they were the owners of the Emperor Battle Arena, it would affect the reputation of the Emperor Battle Arena. At this moment, he was somewhat regretful that in order to satisfy the excitement of the spectating cultivators, the nine-tailed girl had already defeated 2 half-step immortal rank ferocious beasts in a row, and then he continued to put in a half-step immortal rank ape devil. Roar! On the Emperor Battle Arena, the ape demon roared ferociously. The nine-tailed girl was sent flying again and again by the ape demon. As time passed, her essence, chi, and spirit had weakened to the lowest point. Live? I have to live. Before I spread my master's faith across the starry sky, I can't die, the girl muttered to herself. Her voice was extremely weak. After being sent flying by the ape demon, she fell into a pool of blood and struggled to stand up. However, she couldn't do so for a long time. Roar! The ape demon was ferocious and wouldn't show any mercy. Its vast and surging demonic energy rushed towards the girl like a flood. She can't even stand up. She's dead for sure. Outside the battle arena, many cultivators said. However, they didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy. Instead, their faces were filled with excitement. The light in their eyes became brighter as they stared at the battle arena. Waiting for the moment, the ape demon smashed the girl into pieces. The next moment, the ape demon rushed towards the girl. Its beast eyes were filled with bloodlust as its black beast claws viciously slammed towards the girl. Such a violent attack was undoubtedly devastating to the nine-tailed girl who was lying in a pool of blood. Clang! At this moment, the clanging of swords resounded. A glaring sword ray streaked across from afar. It was as if an otherworldly sword had descended and instantly shattered the defensive light barrier outside the battle arena. It directly shattered the ape demon into pieces. The entire battle arena was torn apart. Smoke and dust lingered on the shattered battle arena. At this moment, 2 figures appeared. Lin Tian had arrived with Wu Yi. When he saw the nine-tailed girl who was struggling in a pool of blood on the battle arena, he took a step forward and came to her side. Gentle golden divine energy immediately surged out and enveloped the girl, causing her injuries to heal quickly. The girl's beautiful face was stained with blood. Her eyelids moved, and her gaze fell on Lin Tian. Although her vision was blurred, she could still make out Lin Tian's appearance. She immediately trembled. Master, it's okay. Master is here. Lin Tian comforted her. The nine-tailed girl who was covered in blood was his second disciple on Earth, Tu Xianxian from the Green Hill Fox clan. He shattered the shackles on Tu Xianxian's limbs. Gentle golden divine energy surged into Tu Xianxian's body even more violently, healing Tu Xianxian's injuries even faster. Chapter 16:25. The chilling killing intent surged and shrouded the entire Emperor Battle Arena. That aura made everyone's heart tremble. Who is he? Seeing the sudden appearance of Lin Tian and Wu Yi in the battle arena, and sensing the killing intent emitted by Lin Tian, all the cultivators felt their souls turn cold. Moreover, they could not help but guess that the slash just now was made by Lin Tian. That slash had actually pierced through the eternal light screen outside the battle arena and crushed the half-step immortal rank ape devil on the battle arena. Then, the battle arena covered with eternal Tao patterns was split into pieces and dust filled the air. How terrifying was that? He, and that fox girl, seeing Lin Tian kill the ape devil and help Tu Xianxian up from the pool of blood to treat his wounds. Everyone was shocked. Obviously, they could see that Lin Tian and Tu Xianxian were related. Lin Tian half-squatted and held Tu Xianxian's shoulder. His other hand was constantly pouring divine energy into Tu Xianxian's body. At close range, he saw that Tu Xianxian's body was full of bloody scars. The shackles on his limbs had sharp thorns that pierced through Tu Xianxian's limbs. At this moment, there were still bloody holes on his wrists and hands. There was a faint remnant of Tao power in Tu Xianxian's body, binding his soul. Moreover, the fact that Tu Xianxian had been maintaining the appearance of her 9 tails at this time was also related to this Tao energy. Someone was forcefully controlling her using the Tao energy that bound her divine soul, causing Tu Xianxian to constantly reveal her 9 tails, making Tu Xianxian's prison battle appear even more attractive. For a moment, the killing intent emitted by him became even more intense. Even the sky in this area could not help but rumble. Back then, on Earth, when the little girl acted shamelessly in front of him, she proudly flashed her furry tail for him to touch. She was playful and quick-witted, and she treasured her tail very much. But now, someone deliberately forced the little girl to reveal her 9 fox tails with a special force, forcing the little girl to maintain this posture to attract the spectating cultivators and to collect cultivation wealth. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 ear-piercing sounds rang out. The blue-clothed middle-aged man and the brown-clothed middle-aged man, who had been in the distant pavilion, flashed over. The 2 of us are in charge of the Yuan clan's Emperor Battle Arena. Who are you? Is it related to this Dou, slave of my race? The blue-clothed youth asked Lin Tiandao with a cautious expression. After all, someone who could destroy the eternal level light screen outside the battle platform with a single blow was definitely not a simple person. He should have the strength of an eternal level expert. Moreover, the killing intent that Lin Tian exuded was very frightening. Therefore, even though he was a member of the Yuan family, which had the strongest inheritance in this world, and even though his Yuan family ancestor had reached the true immortal realm, he did not dare to show the slightest bit of arrogance when facing Lin Tian. Boom! An ear-piercing thunder reverberated. 2 silver lightning bolts descended from the sky almost the instant the blue-clothed, middle-aged man finished speaking. They directly covered the blue-clothed, middle-aged man and the brown-clothed, middle-aged man beside him. Both of their bodies and souls were destroyed on the spot. Such a scene shocked all the cultivators in the Emperor Arena to the point of trembling. The 2 main figures in charge of the Emperor Battle Arena of the Yuan family, who had the cultivation of the immortal realm, were killed in an instant. Many people looked at Lin Tian and could not help but feel a chill run down their spines. Naturally, they could guess that it was Lin Tian who did it. At the same time, the other disciples of the Yuan family in the Emperor Battle Arena trembled and revealed a look of horror. It was also at this time that Tu Xianxian, who was supported by Lin Tian, recovered from most of her injuries. Her dazed consciousness was also completely restored. Looking at Lin Tian, who was right in front of her, her body trembled slightly. She tugged at Lin Tian's clothes and choked with tears. Master. Captured and imprisoned by the Yuan family, she had to fight fiercely with many ferocious beasts. This situation had lasted for dozens of days. During the process, she had been seriously injured many times, but she had never shown a trace of weakness. However, at this time, when she saw Lin Tian in front of her, she immediately burst into tears like a child who had been wronged. Don't cry. Lin Tian comforted her. I'll make them pay you back 1,000 times over for all the grievances they've caused you. When he arrived at the Emperor Battle Arena, he saw that the little fox could barely stand up, but when she faced the ape devil's attack, she didn't show the slightest bit of fear. She was even muttering to herself that she would spread his faith throughout the galaxy. He could even imagine that the little fox had entered the galaxy to preach for him, only to be discovered and captured by the Yuan family. Such a strong disciple who was so considerate of him was originally the proud little princess of the Green Hill Fox clan. She was usually witty and quick-witted, and stepped into the cosmos to preach for him. However, she was captured by the Yuan family and forced to wear shackles of Dao power. She fought fiercely with ferocious beasts in this enormous emperor battle arena to satisfy the wicked tastes of the cultivators and accumulate cultivation wealth. Now that she saw him, she was choking with tears like a child. This was unbearable for him. Boom! With the activation of the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique, rolling thunder resounded through the sky. In the sky, pitch-black clouds quickly gathered, with bolts of silver lightning circling around them. It was as if silver lightning dragons were roaring in the clouds. In the next moment, bolts of silver lightning struck down from the heavens. In the blink of an eye, the entire Emperor battle arena was split into pieces, turning it into ruins in an instant. During this process, he consciously controlled the power of the silver lightning and didn't kill the other cultivators. After all, even if he was filled with anger and killing intent because the little fox was bullied, he couldn't kill all the cultivators in the Emperor battle arena. The cultivators in the dilapidated Emperor battle arena were horrified. The silver lightning that struck down just now was too terrifying. It had split the enormous Emperor battle arena, which was covered in eternal runes, into pieces in an instant. Just how powerful was it to accomplish this? Tu Xianxian's injuries had completely healed by now. Lin Tian had wiped away the bloodstains on his body with his divine power, and he stood up with Lin Tian's help. "I'm sorry, Master. Xianxian has embarrassed you by being captured and brought to this place for everyone to admire like a war slave." She wiped away her tears, still choking with sobs. Her tattered clothes were restored to their original state, and the 9 furry tails behind her were tucked away. Lin Tian rubbed her head and smiled. "It's nothing. Don't think too much about it. Little Fox has always been a lovely disciple that I'm proud of." Although he was comforting Tu Xianxian, there was not a trace of falsehood in his words. The little fox had only cultivated for 400 years, but she'd already reached mid-stage Emperor Void Realm and could kill half-step Immortal Realm cultivators. When she was about to die, the little girl's mind wasn't filled with fear of death, but with the thought of passing on the Tao to him. How could he not be proud of such a disciple? How could she not be cute? Really? Tu Xianxian choked with sobs. "Really?" Lin Tian said with a smile. Tu Xianxian wiped away his tears a few more times. His mood improved a little, and then he noticed Wu Yi next to him. So beautiful. Looking at the white-robed Wu Yi, he suddenly felt like he was looking at the Empyrean goddess. Her beauty made even the charming 9-tailed fox's heart flutter. "This is Master's friend Wu Yi. Just call me Martial Uncle." Lin Tian introduced Tu Xianxian to Wu Yi, then looked at Wu Yi and introduced Tu Xianxian to Wu Yi. "Hello, Martial Uncle." Tu Xianxian bowed to Wu Yi. "Hello." Wu Yi nodded and replied. At this time, Lin Tian looked at Tu Xianxian. Ignoring the cultivators who were looking at them in shock in the dilapidated Emperor battle arena, he asked Tu Xianxian, "When did you enter the starry sky?" "That stupid tiger and Qinlin are with you?" The stupid tiger he mentioned was naturally the white tiger that was suppressed under Longhu Mountain. Qinlin was the descendant of an old man on Earth who adopted him. When he left, Tu Xianxian was in charge of the immortal court on Earth. The white tiger and Qinlin assisted Tu Xianxian. Now that he saw Tu Xianxian here, but not the white tiger and Qinlin, he was a little puzzled. Tu Xianxian said, "Xianxian and the stupid tiger entered the starry sky to preach Tao more than 100 years ago. Some time ago, they encountered a storm in the starry sky and were separated. Xianxian doesn't know where the stupid tiger is now." She continued, "As for Sister Qinlin, because her cultivation is a little lacking, she can't enter the starry sky. Therefore, she stayed on Earth and is in charge of the immortal court on Earth." Lin Tianwei nodded slightly and understood. He wasn't worried about the white tiger's safety. This was because the starry sky storm was different from the starry sky tide. Although the starry sky storm could sweep creatures far away from their original location and even across the starry sky, it wouldn't pose any threat to the creatures involved. In addition, the white tiger's bloodline was extraordinary. Therefore, nothing would happen to it. He paused for a moment, then looked at the many cultivators in the dilapidated Emperor battle arena. He directly grabbed one of them and said coldly, "Where is the Yuan clan's land?" His disciple was treated like this by the Yuan clan. He couldn't just let it go. Destroying the Emperor battle arena was nothing, but he wanted the Yuan clan to pay a heavier price. The cultivation of the person he grabbed was not bad. He was at the early stage of the immortal realm. However, when he met Lin Tiany's cold eyes, he felt a chill run down his spine. He didn't dare to hide anything and told Lin Tiany where the Yuan clan was established at the fastest speed. He also told him everything he knew about the Yuan clan. He was afraid that Lin Tiany wouldn't be satisfied and kill him directly. Lin Tiany threw this person away and said goodbye to Wu Yi. Then, he called Tu Xianxian and went straight to the Yuan clan's land. At this place, many cultivators couldn't help but tremble when they saw him and Tu Xianxian leaving with Wu Yi. Are they going to attack the Yuan clan? The Yuan clan has a patriarch at the true immortal realm. He looks very powerful, but he can't compete with a true immortal realm expert, can he? Isn't he courting death? These cultivators discussed. I don't think so. A black-robed old man at the peak of the immortal realm said. He glanced at the early stage of the immortal realm cultivator, who was grabbed by Lin Tiany, and said when he learned about the Yuan clan's land, he also learned some other things about the Yuan clan, including that they have a true immortal patriarch. After knowing this, he still went to the Yuan clan without hesitation. His expression didn't change at all. Obviously, he's not afraid of the true immortal of the Yuan clan. Many cultivators were shocked when they heard this. You mean that person, he's not weaker than a true immortal? Obviously, this is very likely, the black-robed old man said in a deep voice. The moment these words were spoken, the expressions of all the cultivators changed. Many of them couldn't help but tremble. I'm afraid the Yuan clan is in big trouble. Chapter 16:26. After leaving the destroyed Emperor battle arena, Lin Tian and the other two did not move quickly, but they were not slow either. Soon, they arrived outside a vast mountain range. There were many dazzling palaces in the middle. It was the Yuan clan's residence. Lin Tian did not have much to say after arriving here. While he was still outside the mountain range, he raised his hand and slashed with his sword. A ray of golden sword light flew out in a straight line. It cut through the vast void and directly rushed into the Yuan clan, destroying the Yuan clan's main gate. Then, the sword light's momentum did not decrease by much. It rushed into the Yuan clan and continuously destroyed more than 10 palaces in the Yuan clan. For a time, the mountains where the Yuan clan was located began to rumble with rumbling noises. Oh! The entire Yuan clan was shocked and furious. Many experts and elders could not help but walk out. Their Yuan clan was located here and was the most powerful force in the vast ancient cloud star. But now, someone actually dared to destroy their Yuan clan's main gate with a single sword strike. Ever since the Yuan clan was established, such a thing had never happened before. Lin Tian led Tu Xianxian and Wu Yi. They walked step by step from afar and directly entered the Yuan clan's residence. Everyone in the Yuan clan immediately looked at Lin Tian and the other two. They all revealed cold and murderous intent. Obviously, they knew that the previous sword strike was done by the three of them. These three dared to barge in here, destroy the Yuan clan's main gate, and then barge in like this. They must have eaten a god's guts. Then, in the next moment, these people saw Tu Xianxian beside Lin Tian. Demon Fox? Why are you here? Aren't you in the Emperor battle arena? The Emperor battle arena was established for the Yuan clan. During these days, Tu Xianxian was trapped in the Emperor battle arena and was forced to fight continuously. He was the most eye-catching person in the Emperor battle arena. The Yuan clan naturally knew about this. At this time, when they saw Tu Xianxian, who was supposed to be in the Emperor battle arena, appear here, a few people immediately spoke. Their faces were cold and suspicious. At the same time, They had a strong sense of ownership. Lin Tian's expression was cold. The sky shook and silver lightning struck down, directly enveloping the few people who spoke. Pooh! 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 Blood mist exploded one after another. The few Yuan family members who had spoken were immediately struck by the silver lightning and killed in body and soul. Moreover, the ground where the few of them were standing collapsed as cracks appeared on the spot. Then, the cracks spread in all directions like a spider web. In the blink of an eye, many of the Yuan clan's palaces in the vicinity had collapsed. How dare you? The few sempiternal realm elders of the Yuan clan were enraged. They could naturally tell that Lin Tian was the culprit. This person actually dared to barge into their Yuan clan and kill their clansmen. Immediately, 7 elders attacked at the same time. They were all in the immortal realm. They attacked Lin Tian at the same time. Lin Tian's expression was cold. Silver lightning once again struck down from the heavens, enveloping the 7 elders and directly shattering them. Elders! At this place, the other ordinary Yuan family disciples immediately trembled. The 7 elders of the Yuan clan were all in the immortal realm. Their cultivation base was strong, and their combat strength was amazing. But now, they were all killed in an instant. Many people looked at Lin Tian and couldn't help but retreat at this time. This person who had barged into the Yuan clan was so strong. She and he, the disciples of the Yuan clan, looked at Tu Xianxian and then at Lin Tian. At this time, even a fool could see that the Tu Xianxian, who was trapped in the Emperor battle arena by the Yuan clan and forced to fight with the fierce beasts, must be closely related to Lin Tian. Now, Lin Tian had rescued Tu Xianxian from the Emperor battle arena and directly killed his way into the Yuan clan's main residence. Whoosh! 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 A few sounds of breaking through the air rang out. At the center of the Yuan clan, 10 figures rushed over and appeared in the blink of an eye. These 10 people all had extraordinary blood and chi. The weakest of them was in the half-step eternal realm. They were the real big shots of the Yuan clan. Sensing that someone had broken into the Yuan clan, they all stepped out at this time. Supreme Elders, Clan Master, Great Elder. When they saw the 10 of them appear, the ordinary disciples of the Yuan clan rejoiced and hurriedly bowed. After which, someone pointed at Lin Tian and said, "The battle slave demon fox in the Emperor battle arena seems to have been rescued by him. It seems that it has a deep relationship with him. A dozen members of my clan have already been..." Boom! Thunder roared in the sky. Silver lightning flashed and smashed the Yuan family disciple who spoke on the spot. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. After killing this person, before the 10 big shots of the Yuan clan could speak, he directly raised his hand and grabbed the great elder of the Yuan clan. On the way to the Yuan clan, he had learned a lot from Tu Xianxian. Back then, it was this person who had captured Tu Xianxian and imprisoned him in the Emperor battle arena as a battle slave to collect cultivation wealth for the Yuan clan. You bullied my disciple and imprisoned him in the Emperor battle arena to collect cultivation wealth for the Yuan clan. Tell me, how do you want to die? He looked at the great elder of the Yuan clan, his voice cold and eyes piercing. The great elder of the Yuan clan trembled. Facing Lin Tian's cold eyes and voice, he only felt his spirit tremble violently in a sharp pain. The terrifying coldness and chill oppressed him at this time, making it difficult for him to move. You are her, looking at Lin Tian and Tu Xianxian, who was staring at him with clenched fists. The great elder of the Yuan clan was horrified. Dozens of days ago, the 9-tailed fox he caught in the starry sky had a master, and such a terrifying one. At this time, with his cultivation of half-step to the eternal realm, he could not move in the face of Lin Tian's chill. Master, elders, save me. His voice trembled. At this moment, he was grabbed by Lin Tian. Facing Lin Tian's cold intent, he couldn't even move his body. His eyes were filled with terror, and he could only call out to the Yuan family's grand elders and Yuan family's patriarch for help. This scene shocked the ordinary disciples of the Yuan family. Their Yuan family's great elder was a half-step to the eternal realm, only half a step away from entering the real eternal realm and achieving the eternal indestructible body. But now he was so weak. After being caught by Lin Tian, who had broken into their Yuan family, he couldn't even move. He could only ask for help from the family head and supreme elders of their family in a terrified voice. The master of the Yuan clan and the great elders of the Yuan clan looked very cold at this time. The master of the Yuan clan moved. His eternal realm divine power fluctuated and turned into a divine light handprint that grabbed at Lin Tian. He said coldly, "You broke into the Yuan clan. Do you really think you could do anything for your disciple? You think too highly of yourself?" From what Lin Tian had said to the Yuan clan's first elder earlier, he naturally knew the exact relationship between Lin Tian and Tu Xianxian. So he was naturally able to guess why Lin Tian had barged into their Yuan clan's main clan. "You can't do anything. You can only die. She will still return to the Emperor battle arena later." With a rumbling sound, the divine light handprint's aura was terrifying. Intertwined with the principle of great path, it covered the sky and the sun and covered Lin Tian. Lin Tian tilted his head and glanced at the man coldly. The chill around his body spread and shattered the man's big hand. The man staggered back and spat out a mouthful of blood. Looking at Lin Tian again, the master of the Yuan clan, who was at the Eternal Realm, was immediately shocked. He, who was at the Eternal Realm, was injured by the chill around his body. Boom! The sky trembled. A silver lightning struck down from the sky, enveloping the master of the Yuan clan and hitting him instantly. Chapter 16:27. Blood floated in the air, bright red and dazzling. Our master was... How is this possible? The expressions of the Yuan family disciples changed. Their master was at the Eternal Realm, but now he was obliterated with a single blow. Even the 8 grand elders of the Yuan clan were shocked. Then they were furious. Their Yuan clan was the #1 inheritance in the vast cloud ancient star. Now, someone had barged into their clan and killed the master of their clan. This was a slap to their face. How can you trample on the dignity of the Yuan family like this? The first Supreme Elder's eyes were full of murderous intent. His eternal peak divine power was vast and mighty, and the murderous divine power directly suppressed Lin Tian. Compared to my disciple, your dignity is even less than dog shit. Lin Tian's voice was cold. As his words fell, the sky trembled, and with a bang, another silver lightning fell, annihilating the divine power of the first Supreme Elder on the spot. Then, with a poof, the first Supreme Elder of the Yuan family was destroyed. Suddenly, the expressions of all the disciples of the Yuan family, including the other 7 Supreme Elders, changed. "No, impossible. This is impossible," someone said in horror. The first Supreme Elder of the Yuan family, whose cultivation was at the eternal peak divine power, was destroyed in a single blow, just like the master of the Yuan family. The 7 Supreme Elders of the Yuan family were shocked and angry. The second Supreme Elder roared, "Kill formation. Activate the protective formation and kill this thief immediately." Boom! Rolling thunder surged, directly interrupting the man's words. A silver lightning fell and smashed him into pieces. Blood mist splattered in the air. The disciples of the Yuan family were even more frightened. Another Supreme Elder of the eternal peak divine power was killed. Still, he was destroyed in a single blow. The first Supreme Elder of the Yuan family, who was caught by Lin Tian, watched this series of scenes. The horror in his eyes became more and more intense, and he could not help but tremble. He never expected that Tu Xianxian, who he caught dozens of days ago, would have such a powerful master. Even the first Supreme Elder of the Yuan family, who was at the eternal peak divine power, could not resist and was killed in an instant. Boom! Suddenly, a wave of powerful divine might surge from the depths of the Yuan family, and the aura of a true immortal pervaded the air. With a swoosh, a streak of divine light rushed out from the depths of the Yuan family. In the blink of an eye, it was an elder wearing an embroidered robe. Ancestors. When they saw the old man, everyone from the Yuan clan couldn't help but reveal expressions of joy. They all bowed and paid their respects to the old man in the brocade robe. Ancestor, save me. The Yuan clan's great elder, who was caught by Lin Tian, shouted loudly. The patriarch of the Yuan clan was surrounded by true immortal qi. He was at the early stage of the true immortal realm. He looked at the Yuan clan grand elder, who was being held by Lin Tian. He glanced at Tu Xianxian and Wu Yi, and his gaze landed on Lin Tian. He said coldly, "Let him go, and I will give you a chance to kill yourself. As for your disciple, he will return to the Emperor battle arena. The other woman by your side will follow him to the Emperor battle arena. She will forever be my Yuan clan's battle slave and atone for your sins to my Yuan clan." When he came out of seclusion from the depths of the Yuan clan, he had already used his divine sense to scan the sea of consciousness of a disciple of the Yuan clan. He knew the ins and outs of the matter. Tu Xianxian looked at the patriarch of the Yuan clan with anger in his eyes. Wu Yi was still very calm, without the slightest fluctuation of emotions. Lin Tian sneered with undisguised ridicule and pity. What a laughable clown! Putting aside Tu Xianxian, who was only at the Emperor realm, and Lin Tian, who was at the true immortal realm, the patriarch of the Yuan clan actually wanted to suppress Wu Yi and send him to the Emperor battle arena. This was the most ridiculous joke he had ever heard since he started cultivating. An early-stage true immortal realm cultivator actually had such thoughts about a half-step divine emperor who could instantly kill a half-step divine emperor. What are you laughing at? Looking at Lin Tian, the Yuan ancestor's voice became even colder, and a cold glint appeared in his eyes. Lin Tian's undisguised mocking and pitying gaze made him feel very uncomfortable. Lin Tian looked at the patriarch of the Yuan clan and shook his head mockingly. He only said one word, "Die." As soon as he finished speaking, the 5 heavenly thunder skill was activated. A 7-foot silver lightning pillar appeared in the sky, aimed straight at the patriarch of the Yuan clan, and struck him on the spot. Wherever the lightning passed, the void instantly collapsed. Ah! The patriarch of the Yuan clan was hit, and immediately let out an ear-piercing scream. He struggled in the silver lightning for a moment before his body and bones were shattered. Even his divine soul was destroyed. Suddenly, the entire Yuan clan fell silent. Patriarch, he was no way. How could this be? All the disciples of the Yuan clan trembled and became terrified. Even the great elders of the Yuan clan were no exception. The most powerful person in their clan, a true immortal expert, was killed in a single strike, just like the patriarch of the Yuan clan and the others. The great elder of the Yuan clan, who was caught by Lin Tian, was the most terrified. He trembled even more. How could this be? He looked at the Tu Xianxian and then at Lin Tian, and his entire body was filled with fear. Dozens of days ago, he caught Tu Xianxian and imprisoned him in the Emperor battle arena. He actually provoked such a terrifying person who could even kill a true immortal expert in an instant. At this moment, he was terrified, and at the same time, he was filled with deep regret. If he could go back in time, he would never provoke Tu Xianxian again, no matter how much courage he had. He had brought a terrible disaster to the Yuan clan. Lin Tian looked at the great elder of the Yuan clan who was caught. His eyes were cold. It was this person who had imprisoned Tu Xianxian in the Emperor battle arena. Facing Lin Tian's cold eyes, the great elder of the Yuan clan trembled violently. The fear in his eyes became even more intense. Spare my life." Lin Tian looked at this person. How could he let him go? He activated his majestic divine power and destroyed the great elder's body and soul on the spot. Then he tilted his head and looked at the other cultivators of the Yuan clan. This clan had caused his disciples to suffer so much, and he would not let them go easily. What do you want to do?" A great elder shouted in fear. He looked at Lin Tian's eyes and could not help but tremble as he stepped back. The other disciples of the Yuan clan were also trembling in fear. Their Yuan clan had provoked such a terrifying person. Lin Tian looked at the people of the Yuan clan. He activated the 5 lightning sky shock art, and the sound of thunder filled the sky. Immediately, dense silver lightning descended from the sky and covered the entire Yuan clan. In an instant, The Yuan clan's ancient palaces, divine pavilions, and floating islands were destroyed. In just a few breaths, the magnificent Yuan clan was turned into a huge pile of ruins. Then, behind him, the silver Tao diagram of the four symbols rushed up. In the blink of an eye, it expanded and covered the entire Yuan clan. Silver divine light sprinkled down. He had used such a powerful sealing divine art to erase the cultivation of everyone in the Yuan clan. My cultivation level, you're going to destroy us? No. The people of the Yuan clan were terrified. They trembled even more violently. At this moment, all of them could not feel their cultivation. They had completely turned into ordinary people. Lin Tianling glanced at these people indifferently. He did not stay there any longer. He said goodbye to Wu Yi and asked Tu Xianxian to leave. In the blink of an eye, the three of them had walked far away. Master, thank you, Tu Xianxian said. Lin Tian had destroyed the Yuan clan's Emperor Battle Arena in anger because of her. Then, he had killed his way to the Yuan clan's main clan and killed the Yuan clan's great elder, who had imprisoned her in the Emperor Battle Arena. He had also killed several other important figures in the Yuan clan's patriarch. Finally, he had destroyed the entire Yuan clan and destroyed everyone in the Yuan clan. She was not surprised by Lin Tian's current strength. On the way to the Yuan clan, she had already learned that Lin Tian's cultivation had reached the realm of true immortality. Lin Tian rubbed her head and said with a smile, "When my lovely disciple was bullied, how could I, as her master, not stand up for her? Back then, your grandmaster had also destroyed a clan for me, his disciple." Tu Xianxian giggled. Then she looked at Lin Tian and asked, "What kind of person is grandmaster? He must be very powerful, right?" "Very powerful." Lin Tian Dao. How powerful? It's hard to say how powerful he is. Or rather, the word powerful is not enough to describe your grandmaster. You'll know when you see him in the future, Lin Tian said with a smile. In short, he's someone that our clan will always be proud of. Tu Xianxian's eyes sparkled, as if she wanted to see him immediately. Lin Tian smiled and did not say anything. The three of them left the Yuan clan and soon left the vast cloud star and entered the starry sky. "Master, where are we going next?" Tu Xianxian asked Lin Tiandao. "After that, we'll return to the 10 Directions Heavenly Domain. It's the place where I started my cultivation," Lin Tian said. Then, he looked at Wu Yi and asked, "Well, do we go back to the 10 Directions Heavenly Domain after taking a stroll in the starry sky, or do we go directly to the 10 Directions Heavenly Domain now?" "Either is fine," Wu Yi said. Lin Tian thought for a moment and said, "Then let's walk in the starry sky for a while before returning to the 10 Directions Heavenly Domain." Previously, Wu Yi told him that she wanted to walk in the starry sky and see the many stars in the starry sky. But then, because she found that Tu Xianxian was in danger, she went to the vast cloud star. The journey in the starry sky was only a short time. Therefore, at this time, he wanted to walk in the starry sky with Wu Yi and see the stars in the starry sky before returning to the 10 Directions Heavenly Domain. After all, they were not in a hurry to return to the 10 Directions Heavenly Domain. Wu Yi nodded and said softly, "Okay." Then, the three of them walked in the starry sky at a steady pace, as if they were leisurely tourists. Then a month passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, the three of them stopped. The starry sky in front of Wu Yi distorted and revealed a silver tunnel. Then, the three of them stepped into it one after another. In the next moment, the three of them passed through the starry door and appeared beside a colorful star. "We're back," Lin Tian muttered to himself. A light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 16:28. After giving it some thought, Dragon decided to adjust his state of mind first before writing. So, the 2 chapters of today's update schedule will be roughly after 1500 hours in the afternoon. Please forgive me. Chapter 16:29. The 10 Directions ancient star wasn't very large compared to the other ancient stars in the starry sky, but it was colorful and enshrouded in a hazy divine brilliance. giving people a sense of mystery. Is this the place where Master first cultivated? Tu Xianxian looked at the 10 Directions ancient star with bright eyes. Previously, she had heard a lot about the 10 Directions heavenly domain from Lin Tian, and now she was finally here. Let's go. Lin Tian Dao. Returning to this place after hundreds of years, he naturally felt a little sentimental and had a faint smile on his face. Immediately, the three of them stepped into the 10 Directions ancient star and soon appeared in the 10th heaven. After so many years since Lin Tian unsealed the 10th heaven, although the world energy in this heaven was much denser than in the lower 9 heavens, there was still not a single major force moving in. The entire heaven was a vast grassland. The only change was that compared to before, there were more and more outstanding disciples brought to this heaven realm by some great figures of the lower heaven realm to cultivate. At this time, many outstanding young cultivators could be seen cultivating in this heaven realm, maintaining a very harmonious atmosphere with each other, without any fighting. The reason for this was that when Lin Tian was still cultivating in the 10 Directions heavenly domain, in order to resist the invasion of the Netherworld race, many major forces in the entire 10 Directions heavenly domain joined forces to fight against the invasion of the Netherworld race. After that, there were very few conflicts between the major forces, and the cultivation environment of the entire 10 Directions heavenly domain was unprecedentedly peaceful and peaceful. Lin Tian took one last look at this heaven, said goodbye to Wu Yi, and then led Tu Xianxian into the 9th heaven. As far as the eye could see, the great mountains of the 9th heaven were connected to each other, and the rivers flowed one after another. However, compared to some of the other large star worlds in the starry sky, it was much worse, and it couldn't be compared to the immortal domain. Are we going to Misty Mountain? Wu Yi asked Lin Tian. Lin Tian thought for a moment, then nodded and said, okay. Returning to the 10 Directions heaven domain after hundreds of years, Wu Yi would definitely return to the ethereal mountain. Now that he was asked if he wanted to go to the ethereal mountain, he naturally wouldn't refuse. After all, the Violet Fairy and little AI were both at the ethereal mountain. He wanted to see them. Wu Yi nodded, and without any movement, he disappeared in the next moment, appearing in a vast mountain range with Lin Tian and Tu Xianxian. It was Misty Mountain. Then, the three of them climbed up the main peak of Misty Mountain. On the main peak, the Violet Fairy and little AI were cultivating, and when Lin Tian, Wu Yi, and Tu Xianxian felt it, they immediately woke up, and their faces showed surprise and joy. They immediately stopped their cultivation. Little Yi, big brother. The Violet Fairy floated over, looking just like a fairy from the celestial realm. She sized up the two of them curiously, and then looked at Wu Yi, asking, Little Yi, where was Little Yi taken to? How did you meet Big Brother? You came back together. Even though hundreds of years had passed since Wu Yi was forcibly taken away by someone across the boundless void, she wasn't worried at all, because other than Wu Yi himself, no one knew better than her how powerful Wu Yi was. In this world, there weren't many people who could threaten Wu Yi. I'm not little, Wu Yi said. Lin Tian couldn't help but laugh. Every time the Violet Fairy called Wu Yi little Yi, Wu Yi would retort that I'm not little, which made him feel really amused. The Violet Fairy giggled, floated behind Lin Tian, and wrapped her arms around Lin Tian's neck like a little princess, and said, Speaking of which, big brother, have you been with little Yi all these years? Did anything happen? As she spoke to Lin Tian, she glanced at Wu Yi beside her, and there was a little flirtatious expression in her giggles. Lin Tian blushed with shame. The Violet Fairy's intuition was really accurate. All these years, he had indeed been with Wu Yi. The Violet Fairy wrapped her arms around Lin Tian's neck and giggled at Lin Tian. Then, she saw Tu Xianxian beside him. This is? She asked Lin Tian. My second disciple, Tu Xianxian. Lin Tian introduced Tu Xianxian to the Violet Fairy, and then introduced the Violet Fairy to Tu Xianxian. At the same time, he introduced little Yi and Tu Xianxian to each other. Hello, Martial Uncle. Hello, big sister Yi. Tu Xianxian was very polite. After that, Lin Tian and Tu Xianxian stayed in this place for 7 days, and then left. About an hour after leaving Misty Mountain, Lin Tian brought Tu Xianxian to a group of immortal mountains. Looking around, there were many palaces and floating islands in the air. The spiritual energy intertwined within was very dense, and many times stronger than any great inheritance in the cosmos. Is this the first immortal court that Master founded? Tu Xianxian's eyes lit up. That's right. Lin Tian smiled. He didn't stop there and brought Tu Xianxian directly to the immortal court's main gate. The immortal soldiers and generals guarding the gate were immediately shocked. Your Majesty. The immortal soldiers and generals bowed in unison. Lin Tian was very easygoing and told the immortal soldiers and generals not to pay attention to him. Then he led Tu Xianxian into the immortal court. Not long after, he came to a large courtyard in the depths of the immortal court. Lin Shi, Jiyu by Qiu, Shuiyi, and the others were all there. When they saw Lin Tian appear, all the women were stunned, and then they revealed expressions of joy. After all, they hadn't seen each other for hundreds of years. Big brother! Lin Shi rushed over. Jiyu, Su Shu, Shuiyi, by Qiu, and the other girls also came over. After drifting for hundreds of years, you're finally back, Bai Qiu said. Where are that stupid crocodile and little Taichu? Didn't they come back with you? When they left the 10 Directions heavenly domain, Wuxing Crocodile and little Taichu were together with Lin Tian. But now that Lin Tian was back, she didn't see Wuxing Crocodile and little Taichu. This made her a little curious. Then, she saw Tu Xianxian behind Lin Tian and asked Lin Tiandao, "This is?" Because of some special reasons, I was separated from the little guy and the stupid crocodile. They should be fine. Lin Tiandao then introduced Tu Xianxian, saying, "This is my second disciple." With that, he introduced Bai Qiu and the other girls to Tu Xianxian one by one. Is this the little fox you mentioned before? So cute. Bai Qiu and the other girls immediately gathered around. When Lin Tian returned from the cosmos for the first time, he mentioned Tu Xianxian to them. Now that Lin Tian mentioned it again, they immediately remembered. Tu Xianxian was very polite. He was very happy to see Jiyu and the others. After all, they were close to his master. He immediately bowed to Jiyu and the others. On this night, the courtyard in the depths of the immortal court was very lively. Lin Tian had returned after hundreds of years. Jiyu and the others were naturally very happy. The night passed quickly, and the sky became brighter. Then, time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. After returning to the immortal court, Lin Tian accompanied Jiyu and the other girls for half a month. On this day, he entered the immortal Emperor Pagoda in the center of the immortal court to cultivate in seclusion. He had been trapped in the Wuxiang domain for more than 300 years. He had not cultivated for more than 300 years. He could not neglect his cultivation. At the same time, before going into seclusion, he took out many heavenly treasures and gave them to Tu Xianxian. These treasures were enough to increase Tu Xianxian's cultivation by a large margin in a short time. As for Jiyu and the other girls, there was no need for this at all. This was because he had asked an old drunkard to send many divine treasures back to the immortal court and the star stones that could help people reach the eternal realm in a short time. In addition, more than 300 years had passed since then. Moreover, the girls either had king bodies or were very talented. With all these factors combined, the girls' cultivation was already very strong. They were much stronger than him now. The heavenly treasures he had were not very useful to Jiyu and the other girls. More than 300 years. Lin Tian blushed with shame. He had been trapped for more than 300 years without being able to cultivate. Even his sister's cultivation had surpassed his. This was a very embarrassing thing. However, he was more than happy about this. After all, it was undoubtedly a good thing that the people close to him had become very strong. He sat cross-legged in the immortal Emperor Pagoda and took a deep breath. Then, he activated the Heart Sutra of Sun, and a faint golden divine light shone out of his body. In the blink of an eye, dozens of breaths passed. He activated the Heart Sutra of Sun, and his essence, qi, and spirit reached their peak. Then, he took out several purple divine fruits from his body. They were the purple wood-ean fruits that he had obtained in the Wushang domain. These divine fruits were very extraordinary. Refining one purple wood-ean fruit could increase the cultivation of anyone below the golden immortal realm by a small level in a short time. He activated the Heart Sutra of Sun, took another deep breath, and began to refine the purple wood-ean fruit. For a time, a very rich purple brilliance floated out of the purple wood-ean fruit and integrated into his body. It was mixed with an astonishing number of immortal Tao fragments, as well as several other divine powers. In the process of refining with the Heart Sutra of Sun, the immortal Tao fragments and other divine powers were quickly absorbed and integrated into his flesh and soul, causing his essence, qi, and spirit to become stronger rapidly. His cultivation base also soared at an astonishing speed. Buzz! For a time, the golden divine light around his body became denser, and the power of the great Tao he exuded also became stronger. In the blink of an eye, a full year had passed. A year passed. On this day, a terrifying thunder suddenly sounded in the sky above the immortal court. Rolling dark thunderclouds gathered immediately, evolving into a huge black vortex. The entire ninth heaven became dark, and a destructive and oppressive aura covered the sky, causing countless creatures in the ninth heaven to tremble in fear, as if the end of the world was coming. However, this situation didn't last long. In just a few breaths, the dark thunderclouds in the sky dispersed, and the destructive and oppressive aura disappeared in an instant. At the same time, in the immortal Emperor Pagoda of the Immortal Court, Lin Tian's body was surrounded by wisps of golden divine light. At this time, he opened his eyes, and two streaks of lightning flashed in his eyes. After a year of closed-door cultivation, he refined several purple wood-ean fruits and seriously comprehended his own thunder immortal Tao and nameless Tao law. Now, he had stepped into the golden immortal realm and directly attracted the tribulation of the golden immortal realm. However, at that moment, he temporarily withdrew from the golden immortal realm, causing the lightning tribulation to quickly dissipate. After all, he couldn't transcend the tribulation in the immortal court. It would directly destroy the immortal court. Even the ninth heaven would suffer a great disaster. Prepare to transcend the golden immortal tribulation in the starry sky, he said to himself. Chapter 1630. Lin Tian walked out of the immortal Emperor Pagoda of the Immortal Court. He didn't have much to do to prepare for the tribulation, and he finished it quickly. After informing Ji Yu and the others, he stepped out of the 10 Directions celestial domain alone and found an abandoned dead star nearby. The so-called abandoned dead star referred to a star without any life inside. Not only were there no living beings like humans, demons, beasts, or even simple vegetation. Let's begin. He stood in the desert of this dead star and directly released his current cultivation, truly stepping into the golden immortal realm. Suddenly, rolling thunder surged, dark clouds gathered, and a destructive aura immediately pressed down from the sky. Bolts of lightning punishment began to continuously strike down. Crack, crack, crack. The void shattered inch by inch, and the ground collapsed inch by inch. The entire dead star was shaking. Without a doubt, such a heavenly tribulation was extremely terrifying. However, Lin Tian was not afraid at all. In order to deal with the heavenly tribulations on the path of cultivation, he found the 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation and deliberately comprehended the thunder immortal Tao. Coupled with his powerful combat strength, although the destructive power of this great tribulation of the golden immortal realm was very shocking, he did not feel threatened and had absolute confidence that he could pass through it. At the same time, he called out the immortal Emperor Pagoda at this time to go through the tribulation with him. This sect pagoda was forged by him with the ultimate sacred item of weapon forging, the primordial heavenly crystal. It was his origin divine weapon and would evolve with him. He wanted to use the heavenly tribulations to cleanse this sect pagoda and make it stronger and stronger. Boom, boom, boom. The thunder continued, and the destructive tribulation lightning struck down one after another, as if it wanted to shatter everything in this greater thousand world. After which, as time passed, the lightning punishment in the sky gradually disappeared after an unknown period of time. The dead star, which was covered in darkness, once again became bright. "It's finally over," Lin Tian panted. Even with the help of the 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation and the thunder immortal Tao, and his resistance to the heavenly tribulation was very strong. But at this moment, he was covered in blood and suffered extremely serious injuries. At the same time, the desert he was in had completely collapsed at this time. There were huge cracks everywhere, and boiling lava spread out from under the ground, scorching hot. Wong! In the sky, a 7-colored auspicious cloud condensed, sprinkling the sky full of 7-colored divine light, enveloping Lin Tian. Lin Tian knew that this divine light contained very shocking power, and immediately used the Heart Sutra of the sun to refine and absorb it. And the Immortal Emperor Pagodas and made the aura of the Immortal Emperor Pagoda become more condensed and stronger. Very soon, the 7-colored divine light, and the clouds in the sky, the clouds dispersed. Crack! Lin Tian clenched his fists slightly. Naturally, he could sense how strong his body had become. His divine power had grown even thicker, and the interwoven true immortal aura had undergone a qualitative change, transforming into gold immortal energy. His Tao laws had become even more astonishing, and his soul, fleshly body, and various other aspects had also improved greatly. Compared to the time when he was at the true immortal stage, the gap between him and heaven was like that between heaven and earth. Above her head, the immortal Emperor Pagoda buzzed. It had become a golden immortal weapon after entering the golden immortal realm. The primordial aura became more condensed, and the thunder patterns on the pagoda's body became more numerous after being baptized by the heavenly tribulations. There was a very vast thunderous pressure around the pagoda. At the same time, in addition to the thunder patterns, the pagoda's body was also full of strange divine patterns. They were surrounded by a very holy and pure aura. It was like the first wisp of Saint Chi before the creation of the world. Lin Tian was no stranger to this aura. It was the aura of the power of faith. He used his golden immortal divine will to enter the immortal Emperor Pagoda. He found that the power of faith nurtured in the immortal Emperor Pagoda had reached an extremely shocking level. It was much more than ever before. Little Yi Tong and Little Fox have worked very hard all these years. He smiled and muttered to himself. Little Fox had left Earth more than 100 years ago to preach and gather faith for him in the starry sky. He already knew about this. After returning to the 10 Directions heavens, he learned from Jiyu that Yi Tong had also left the 10 Directions heavens many years ago to preach and gather faith in the immortal court. Now, the vast power of faith gathered in the immortal Emperor Pagoda was completely due to Yi Tong and Little Fox's efforts over the years. He could feel it. He paused for a moment, then withdrew his divine will from the immortal Emperor Pagoda. With a slight thought, the immortal Emperor Pagoda entered his body. Then he glanced at the dilapidated dead planet and left. In the blink of an eye, he stepped out of the dead planet. Soon after, he returned to the 10 Directions heavens and the immortal court of the 9th heaven. It only took a year to go from the true immortal realm to the golden immortal realm. That's really fast. Sushu was surprised. After all, I have the help of an extraordinary divine artifact. Moreover, I'm just in the same realm as you. Lin Tian said with a smile. After more than 300 years, Sushu and the other girls had all reached the early stage golden immortal realm. Although we're in the same realm, we're still far from being your match in terms of combat strength. Bai Qiu rolled her eyes. The girls either had monarch physiques or extraordinary aptitudes. Their combat strength was far superior to other cultivators in the same realm. However, compared to Lin Tian, they were obviously too weak. After all, Lin Tian was the legendary ultimate reincarnation physique. Moreover, he had gone through more than a dozen heavenly tribulations. His combat strength was terrifying and far beyond their reach. Of course I'm stronger than you. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if I'm weaker? Lin Tian said with a smile. The sky was blue, and time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. During these 3 months, he was almost always with Jiyu, Sushu, and the others. At the same time, he also took time to return to the lower heavens. He went to the barbarian race in the 4th heaven, the Feathered Dao sect in the 3rd heaven, the Bai family in the 2nd heaven, the Burning Sun sect in the 1st heaven, the Valley of the Harp, and the Northern Flame Country in the 1st heaven. He visited many elders and friends, and gave them all extraordinary treasures. On this day, he came to the courtyard deep in the Immortal Court, and found Yin Yabur. Yer, there's something I need your help with. Yin Yer, Jiyu Sushu, by Qiu, Shuiyi, and Lin Shi lived in the same place. Now her cultivation was also at the early stage golden immortal realm. What is it? Yin Yer asked. Lin Tian raised his hand and condensed the appearance of the white tiger with his divine sense. This is a friend of mine. Help me calculate its approximate location. The white tiger and Tu Xian entered the starry sky together, but they were accidentally separated because of the wind and waves in the starry sky. Now he didn't know where it was, so he thought that he had to find it. Finding the approximate location of the white tiger in the vast starry sky was as difficult as ascending to the sky with his current strength. But for Yin Yip-er, who had an immortal spirit body and mastered the divine art of Tianji, it was not difficult at all. Yin Yip-er nodded when she heard this, and immediately cast out the divine art of Tianji. Pure immortal spirit light surrounded her body, making her look incomparably holy. Then, in the blink of an eye, 10 breaths passed. Found it, she said, and after a pause, she couldn't help but frown. It seems to have encountered some trouble. P.S. Only now did I know that today is Chinese Valentine's Day. Here, the dragon sincerely wishes all the lovers to be together, and also wishes the single friends and the dragon to find the other half of their lives as soon as possible. Roar! Chapter 16:31. Hearing Yin Yip-er's words, Lin Tianwei's expression changed slightly. Is the white tiger in trouble? What trouble? He asked. Yin Yip-er's Taoist light intertwined, and the divine runes of heavenly mystery flickered. She paused and said, it seems to be trapped by something. The divine skill of heavenly mystery was very magical. It could see into the heavenly mystery. In addition, Yin Yip-er had the king body of fairy spirit and was known as the favorite of the Great Path. Therefore, the divine skill of heavenly mystery could be used to the extreme. Now, not only did she calculate the approximate location of the white tiger, but also the current situation of the white tiger. Is it in danger? Lin Tian asked. It's not in danger now. Yin Yip-er shook her head and said, but it seems that it can't get out of the trap. Lin Tian nodded. It was good that there was no danger. Thank you, he said to Yin Yip-er. Hearing that, Yin Yip-er curled her lips. Lin Tianwei was stunned. What's wrong? We are good friends. Don't mention the word thank you. You are treating me as an outsider. Yin Yip-er said. Lin Tian blushed with shame and said with a smile, okay, it's my fault. I won't mention the word thank you in the future. Yin Yip-er also smiled. Also in the afternoon, Lin Tian found Jiyu and the other girls and told them that he was leaving. He learned from Yin Yip-er that the white tiger was trapped and couldn't get out with its own strength. Naturally, he had to bring the stupid tiger out of the trap. At the same time, the 5 elements crocodile and little Tai Chu should still be in the celestial realm. If he left the 2 of them alone, he would be somewhat worried. After finding the white tiger, he would have to go to the celestial realm to meet up with the 2 of them. Got it. Be careful, the girl said. Tu Xian was also here. With the help of Lin Tian's treasures of heaven and earth, he had now reached the eternal realm. He also knew what Lin Tian was going to do now. So he said, Master, you must bring stupid tiger out. With that, she continued, Xian won't be going with you. Xian needs to make some preparations. In a few days, I'll be going to the starry skies to continue teaching. Lin Tian had already reached the golden immortal stage. She believed that Lin Tianyi would definitely be able to escape with the white tiger. On the other hand, although preaching the Tao would take an extremely long time, it would not affect her cultivation. In other words, it would bring many benefits to her cultivation. This was because the power of faith was an extremely shocking power. She would absorb this power of faith as she preached the Tao. Cultivating with this power of faith would give her an extremely great advantage in various aspects. Lin Tian nodded and said with a smile, "All right. All the forces of the immortal court in the 10 directions heaven are at your disposal." After hundreds of years, the total number of cultivators in the 10 directions heaven's immortal court had now exceeded 10 million. Because the immortal court did not impose any restrictions on the cultivation of ancient scriptures, as long as one was a disciple of the immortal court, they could study and cultivate. The resources for cultivation were also relatively easy. Therefore, the immortal court not only had a large number of cultivators, but also a lot of experts. Now, it could definitely be regarded as the #1 inheritance in the starry skies. Then he added, "Your senior brother is also preaching the Tao in the starry skies. If you meet him, you can act together." He sent out his divine thoughts and showed Yi Tong's appearance to Tu Xianxian. At the same time, he still had a few purple wood-ean fruits on him. He gave them to Tu Xianxian, so that Tu Xianxian could refine them for cultivation after reaching the true immortal stage. This was to maximize the divine effects of these purple wood-ean fruits. "Yes, master. Xianxian also wants to meet senior brother. Xianxian will work harder in the future," Tu Xianxian said. She knew that preaching the Tao and arranging faith would be of great use to Lin Tian. With this power, he might be able to achieve many things in the future that were difficult to achieve. Therefore, she was very concerned about it. Moreover, she was also very interested in the existence of faith. Lin Tian nodded, then looked at Ji Yu and the others, and said goodbye to the girls again. "Brother, remember to put safety first when you're outside." She was reluctant to part with her brother, but she did not ask him to stay because she knew that he had something important to do. "Don't worry, your brother is very strong." Lin Tian smiled and rubbed Lin Shi's head. It had been more than a year since he returned to the 10 directions heaven. On this day he left again. Soon, he stepped out of the 9th heaven, entered the 10th heaven, and entered the starry skies. The edge of Zhenyu star field. He muttered to himself. He had obtained the approximate location of the white tiger from Yin Yip-er. It was trapped in a position at the edge of Zhenyu star field. Zhenyu star field was not too far away from 10 directions ancient star field. It would not take long for him, who was in the golden celestial stage, to arrive there. This was because after reaching the golden celestial stage, he could tear the starry sky tunnel to travel, which greatly reduced the time needed to travel. He took a last look at 10 directions ancient star, then tore the starry sky tunnel and disappeared on the spot. In the next moment, he stepped out of the starry sky tunnel and appeared in another position in the starry skies. Then, he tore the starry sky tunnel again. Although he could tear the starry sky tunnel to travel in the starry skies, his cultivation was not very strong. The distance that he could travel through the starry sky tunnel was limited. It was obviously impossible for him to travel across many star fields in an instant like Wu Yi. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed since he tore the starry sky tunnel again and again. After more than a month, he stopped and finally arrived at the edge of Zhenyu star field. This place was very dark, darker than any other place in the starry skies that he had been to. There was almost no light. Looking around, he saw a huge black hole not far away. Its diameter was unknown. It was even more shocking than some of the ancient stars. The surrounding air was spinning like a vortex, as if it was going to swallow everything. Lin Tian was slightly shocked. This was the first time that he had seen such a huge black hole. It seems that the stupid tiger has been sucked into the black hole. He muttered to himself. Yin Yip-er had calculated the location of the white tiger, which was the black hole in front of them. Moreover, Yin Yip-er said that the white tiger was trapped and could not escape. Therefore, it was not difficult to guess that the white tiger was now in this black hole. He did not stop and walked directly toward the black hole in front of him. The black hole in the starry skies could swallow everything in its vicinity, including air and light. It was very dangerous. However, for him who had reached the golden immortal realm, it was nothing. It could not threaten his existence. He approached the black hole. An extremely powerful suction force came from the black hole. It was very shocking, but it did not affect him. He slowly walked into the black hole. As soon as he stepped into the black hole, his vision became even darker. It could be said that it was boundless darkness. It was difficult to see anything inside. Everything was blurry, and there was an extremely oppressive aura intertwined in the surroundings. However, such an environment did not affect Lin Tian. At this time, when he stepped into the black hole, he immediately opened his delusion breaker divine eye. Everything immediately became clear. The oppressive aura around him did not affect him at all. He used his golden immortal realm divine thought and spread it out in all directions. He began to search for the white tiger that had been sucked into the black hole. Just like that, an hour quickly passed. After an hour, at this time, a light flashed in his eyes. He looked toward the south of the black hole. Over there, he found the aura of the white tiger. Immediately, he took a step forward. He quickly traveled a long distance and came to another position in the black hole. Looking ahead, the space in front of him was invisible. A white tiger's body was intertwined with a powerful demonic light. It was attacking something. "Yo, perverted tiger, is it fun?" He leisurely greeted. This white tiger was naturally the one he knew on Earth. Its temperament was the same as Ling Yun's, a perverted thief. Hearing this, the white tiger looked at Lin Tian and immediately widened its eyes. Boy Lin, it had been hundreds of years since they parted. It did not expect that after being trapped in this black hole for so long, it would suddenly see Lin Tian here. Then, looking at Lin Tian, it quickly came back to its senses. It bared its teeth and said, "Hurry up and help Tiger Master. I'm trapped by an unknown force." At this time, it could not see anything around it. However, there was an invisible and colorless force intertwined around it, trapping it in a fixed area. With its strength of the Empyrean realm, it could not break free at all. Lin Tian smiled and walked forward. The dragon tattoo flashed on his hand. The white tiger could not see anything around it. However, he, who cultivated the dragon burial scripture and opened the delusion breaker divine eye, could see something special. At this time, there was a complicated domain around the white tiger. It was enough to trap an eternal realm cultivator. He raised his hand. The dragon tattoo in his hand turned into a dragon tattoo sword. He directly slashed at a position beside the white tiger. As the dragon tattoo sword slashed, there was a soft sound. The domain that trapped the white tiger was directly crushed by him. "It's done," he said. Almost at the same time, the white tiger felt that the invisible force that was suppressing it had disappeared. It immediately moved and left the position it was trapped in the blink of an eye. Its eyes couldn't help but reveal a hint of surprise and joy. "Not bad, Kidlin." It came to Lin Tian's side. It had been trapped here for a very long time, and it had been unable to escape no matter what it did. However, it had never imagined that Lin Tian would actually be able to obliterate the invisible force that trapped it with a casual swing of the sword, allowing it to escape. As it spoke, it asked Lin Tian curiously, "Why are you here? Were you also sucked in by the black hole?" Lin Tian looked at it from the corner of his eyes. "You're thinking too much." He briefly explained the ins and outs of the matter, including that he had found the little fox, who was separated from the white tiger. "So that's how it is?" The white tiger understood. At the same time, it was a little surprised. "There is actually someone who can calculate my location and situation from across the boundless starry sky. This is simply forcefully peeking into the heavens and easily calculating its specific location and current situation. This kind of method really surprised it." Boom! Chapter 1632. Its cold pupils were extremely huge, and there was a terrifying fluctuation around it. It even carried a bloodthirsty aura. It was a huge, ferocious beast. Its body was covered in scales, and it was at least 1,000 feet tall. A golden immortal? The white tiger trembled. In this black hole, its vision was very dark. It did not have Lin Tian's delusion breaker divine eyes. It was difficult for it to see things clearly with its simple sight. However, it could capture things with its divine thoughts and then reflect the surrounding things in its sea of consciousness. Lin Tian also saw the appearance of this ferocious beast and also sensed its strength. It was comparable to a human cultivator at the early stage of the Golden Immortal Realm. This made him somewhat surprised. He did not expect that there would be a ferocious beast of this level in this black hole. Then, when he looked at this huge, ferocious beast, he could not help but be moved again. There was a huge spatial crack in that place. It was like a spatial portal that connected to an unknown place. The white tiger followed his gaze and scanned with its divine thoughts. Naturally, it also found the existence of the big crack and immediately showed a look of surprise. That ferocious beast, did it come out from that big crack? It was shocked. Roars! The deafening roar of the beast resounded in all directions. The ferocious beast roared, and the demonic power of a golden immortal surged, shaking the black hole violently. Its huge eyes stared at Lin Tian and the white tiger, and directly rushed over. Obviously, it saw the two of them as prey, or just wanted to purely attack the two of them. Facing this aura, the white tiger could not help but immediately shrink its neck. It could not block a golden, immortal, ferocious beast. "Kid, run quickly!" it shouted at Lin Tian. Lin Tian glanced at it and faced the charging, ferocious beast and casually swung his sword. The sword rang, and in an instant, it came in front of the ferocious beast, and a huge, bloody hole was opened in its chest. Blood splattered everywhere. Seeing this, the white tiger's eyes widened. "Kid, you..." A ferocious beast at the early Golden Immortal stage was pierced through by Lin Tian in one strike. Roar! After being pierced through by Lin Tian, the 1,000 feet tall ferocious beast let out a furious roar. Its Gold Immortal class Yao Qi became even more frightening. In the blink of an eye, there was a rumbling sound as the black hole shook even more violently. It once again pounced towards Lin Tian and the white tiger. This kind of aura was somewhat frightening, but to the current Lin Tian, it was really nothing. He raised his hand and pinched a hand seal, casting out a divine art from the heaven-defying sword manual. It transformed into the heaven-defying sword and slashed out with the cultivation base of a golden immortal, slashing the oncoming beast into pieces, killing it on the spot. "Kid, you've reached the golden immortal stage?" The white tiger's eyes widened. At this moment, it sensed Lin Tian's cultivation base. It could clearly sense the aura of a gold immortal from Lin Tian. Lin Tian nodded. "I just stepped into this realm not long ago." As he said this, he secretly evaluated his current combat strength based on the brief confrontation when he killed the ferocious beast just now. He came to a conclusion that he should be invincible below the half-step mystic immortal stage. This cultivation speed is too fast. The white tiger bared its teeth. Hundreds of years had passed since it first met Lin Tian. It had reached the peak of the Emperor Void realm from the Nirvana realm, but Lin Tian had reached the Golden Immortal realm from the Heavenly Venerable realm at that time. This cultivation speed shocked and depressed it. Lin Tian glanced at it. "All right, don't be surprised. During this period, I was still trapped in a certain place for more than 300 years. Otherwise, how could I only be at this realm now?" He continued, "Now, let's leave, rumble." At this moment, the black hole trembled violently, directly interrupting his next words. At this moment, cracks began to appear in many places in the black hole. An aura that could destroy all things began to intertwine. It was so oppressive that even Lin Tian, who was at the Golden Immortal stage, could not help but be moved. This black hole is beginning to collapse? The white tiger widened its eyes. Lin Tian nodded. Looking at the situation, it was clearly as the white tiger had guessed. This black hole was beginning to collapse. Although it was unknown how many years this black hole had existed, it was definitely very long. The collapse and collapse were actually the inevitable result of natural evolution. This was because things like black holes would not exist forever. Since they were formed, there would be a time when they would be destroyed. Just like simple plants and ordinary mortals, there was a time limit to their existence. Now, this black hole was already infinitely close to the critical point of vanishing. Because of the powerful demonic power of the golden immortal level vibrating from the 1,000-foot-tall ferocious beast, and as he slashed out with the divine ability of the Ling Tian sword manual with his golden immortal level cultivation, this huge amount of energy overflowed, directly causing the black hole to change drastically and begin to truly collapse and disappear. "Let's go," he said in a low voice, beckoning the white tiger to step out of the black hole. The two of them were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had crossed a long distance. However, the extent of the collapse of the black hole was beyond imagination. The space where the hole was located was annihilated and disappeared in the blink of an eye. This disappearance meant that the place had truly turned turbid. There was no way out, and even celestial kings could not pass through. At the same time, the other places in this black hole were collapsing and turning into turbid areas. In these turbid areas, only experts above the level of a true god could exist. "It's over, it's over, it's over. Are we going to be drowned in here?" The white tiger was horrified, and its hair could not help but stand on end. The black hole was beginning to collapse, and the way out had completely disappeared. They could not leave now. The moment the black hole truly disappeared, they would also disappear along with the black hole. This disappearance naturally meant death. Both their bodies and souls would be destroyed. At this time, Lin Tian, of course, also felt the great danger. He looked around and quickly thought of a way to get out of this dangerous situation. Then, in an instant, he saw the huge crack from before. At this time, as the black hole collapsed, the crack was also distorting, but it did not collapse immediately. He had previously scanned it with his divine thought. That crack should be something like a spatial portal that connected to an unknown space. The ferocious beast from before should have accidentally appeared in this black hole from the space behind the spatial crack, just as the white tiger had guessed. Perhaps the unbridled energy in the black hole at a certain time period cut through the spatial barrier at that time and connected to an unknown world. As he thought of this, a ray of light appeared in his eyes. He called the white tiger and rushed directly into the big crack. At this time, the black hole was collapsing and disappearing. If they stayed in it, only death would await them. And if they rushed into the big crack, although they did not know where they would run to, they would definitely be able to escape this collapsing black hole and save their lives. Therefore, there was naturally no need to hesitate at this time. Rushing into the crack was the most sensible choice. The white tiger naturally understood this. It did not say anything and rushed toward the big crack with Lin Tian as fast as it could. Both of them were very fast. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the big crack that was already extremely distorted and turned into two rays of light that disappeared into it. And almost at the same time that they rushed into the big crack, the crack directly collapsed and was crushed by the collapsing black hole. Rumble! The violent rumbling continued. The huge black hole continued to collapse and turn turbid. Then, after an unknown period of time, the entire black hole completely disappeared. The endless distance had turned into a turbid land. Air, light, and debris were all gone. After rushing into the big crack, Lin Tian and the white tiger's vision became pitch black. The space was violently shaking. After an unknown period of time, light appeared in front of the man and the beast. They were shaken out by a strong spatial force and landed in a red mountain range. "Not dead. We escaped." The white tiger let out a long sigh. Lin Tian's expression was calmer, because he had expected that after rushing into the crack, he would be able to leave the collapsing black hole and save his life. At this time, he moved his gaze and began to look at the mountain range where he and the white tiger were now. The first thing he saw was that there were many powerful ferocious beasts traversing this mountain range. The weakest of them was at the true immortal realm, and there were also many at the golden immortal realm. The demonic chi in the air was very dense. Roar! The vegetation in the mountain range was sparse, and the deafening roar of the ferocious beasts resounded in all directions. This made Lin Tian and the white tiger's expressions change. At this time, they were really sure that the ferocious beast in the black hole had indeed accidentally passed through the big crack and entered the black hole. and the place where the ferocious beast was before was undoubtedly this mountain range. Where is this? The white tiger looked around suspiciously. Lin Tian shook his head. He had just fallen into this space. How could he know such things? Whoosh! 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 Right at this moment, the sound of something tearing through the air rang out in the sky. 3 young cultivators arrived from afar. Their speed wasn't very fast, but it wasn't slow either. All of them were scanning the surroundings like 3 patrolling guards in this mountain range. In the next moment, the 3 of them saw Lin Tian and the white tiger at the same time. They immediately descended from the sky and locked onto Lin Tian and the white tiger with their divine telekinesis. The aura they emitted was very powerful. Are you also here for the 9 Silkworm Immortal King's immortal abode? One of the young men in blue asked coldly. Lin Tian frowned slightly. What 9 Silkworm Immortal King's immortal abode? Don't play dumb. The young man in blue's voice was even colder. Divine power surged out of his body. He was at the mid-stage of the golden immortal realm. Next to him, the other 2 young men were also at the mid-stage of the golden immortal realm. They were dressed in yellow robes and black robes respectively. Among them, the yellow-robed young man said in a low voice, "The elders are breaking the immortal formation of the immortal abode. They have previously ordered that no matter who enters this mountain range during this period, they will be killed without mercy. There is no need to talk nonsense with them. Whether they are here for the immortal abode or not, there is no need to care. Just kill them." The young man in blue nodded. That's true. Chapter 1633. The Divine Light Sword, which carried the aura of a golden immortal, slashed down powerfully. In the blink of an eye, it arrived before Lin Tian and the white tiger. There was no doubt that this sword was extremely powerful. It could easily kill any ordinary cultivator at the early stage of a golden immortal. Lin Tian raised his hand and caught the sword between his fingers. The eyes of the black-robed young man holding the divine light sword turned cold. Although this sword was not his full strength, it was definitely not weak. He originally thought that he could kill Lin Tian and the white tiger with this sword. He did not expect Lin Tian to block it so easily. He shook the divine light sword in his hand, and an even more powerful sword will burst out. A fierce, murderous aura surged out, wanting to crush Lin Tian's arm. Lin Tian could naturally feel that the divine light sword between his fingers had become more powerful. Divine power intertwined between his fingers, and golden divine light overflowed. He gently twisted. Crack! With a crisp sound, the black-robed young man's divine light sword was shattered. I told you, I don't know anything about the 9 Silkworm Immortal King's immortal abode. You're not here for this. He glanced at the black-robed young man and the other 2. The black-robed young man was indifferent to his words. However, after the divine light sword was shattered, the coldness in his eyes became even more intense. Divine power surged again, and 9 divine light swords were formed in a row, slashing at Lin Tian. At the same time, the blue-robed young man and the yellow-robed young man moved as well, attacking together. I told you, whether your goal is the 9 Silkworm Immortal King's immortal abode or not, we'll kill you without mercy, the yellow-robed young man said coldly. The 3 of them attacked together. Clearly, they wanted to quickly kill Lin Tian and the white tiger. The divine power outside their bodies was very powerful. Lin Tian's eyes turned cold. So, you insist on courting death? He and the white tiger didn't know anything about the 9 Silkworm Celestial King's celestial mansion. It sounded like the mountain range, and the 9 Silkworm Celestial King's celestial mansion didn't belong to the 3 young men or the forces behind them. However, the 3 young men were very domineering. They said that they would kill them regardless of whether they came for the 9 Silkworm Celestial King's celestial mansion. Hearing Lin Tian's words, the 3 youths were slightly stunned. Then, except for the black-clothed youth, who was very cold, the blue-clothed youth and the yellow-clothed youth could not help but laugh. You're just an early-stage golden immortal. How dare you say such a thing to us 3 mid-stage golden immortals at the same time? the yellow-robed young man said. Earlier, Lin Tian had used his divine power to wrap around two of his fingers on his right hand and shatter the black-clad young man's divine power light sword. He had immediately sensed Lin Tian's specific cultivation base. Lin Tian didn't say anything. He tilted his head and looked at the man. Then, he moved slightly and appeared in front of the yellow-robed young man in the next moment. The yellow-robed young man was shocked by Lin Tian's speed. "You dong!" A huge roar resounded through the sky. Lin Tian attacked directly with his pure physical strength. Although his cultivation base was only at the early stage golden immortal realm, the strength of his pure physical strength was almost comparable to that of a mystic immortal. Under the pressure of such a punch, the wind and clouds paled. Puff! Blood splattered in an instant. The yellow-robed young man was smashed into pieces by the punch. Even his divine soul was annihilated. The white tiger's eyes widened at this scene. It knew that Lin Tian was a monster, and his combat strength was far beyond that of cultivators of the same realm. Therefore, it wasn't worried when facing the yellow-robed young man and the other two middle-stage golden immortals. It believed that although Lin Tian was at the early-stage golden immortal realm, he was definitely enough to deal with the three of them. However, it had never expected that Lin Tianyuan would be even more exaggerated than it had expected. With a simple punch of pure physique, he had actually destroyed the yellow-robed young man's body and soul. Damn freak! It couldn't help but bare its teeth. At the same time, the blue-robed young man and the black-clad young man, who had always been cold, both changed their expressions. The man in front of them, who was only at the early-stage golden immortal realm, killed the yellow-robed young man in the middle-stage golden immortal realm with a single punch. Both of them couldn't help but be shocked. However, in the next moment, the shock on the blue-robed young man's face disappeared and became cold. He looked at Lin Tian and said to the black-clad young man next to him, "His cultivation is only at the early-stage golden immortal realm. He's inferior to us. The only thing he can rely on is his powerful physical body. Let's attack from a distance and not let him get close to us. We'll kill him with a secret technique." As soon as he finished speaking, a ball of divine light rushed out of his body with a rumble. The divine light was strong and then turned into strange runes that circled around him like flying birds. Heaven and earth is one. Dust rises from the ground. Demons rest. Unfettered Taiji absorb, he said coldly. The densely packed runes formed a great spell. It was magical and strange. It sealed the void in all directions and pressed down on Lin Tian from all angles. Before it landed on Lin Tian's body, Lin Tian's divine soul couldn't help but tremble slightly. At the same time, the black-clad young man next to the blue-robed young man also made his move. Like the blue-robed young man, dense runes rushed out of his body. Inner realms in the body, 36,000 gods. When the tribulation is broken, kill the enemy with an indestructible body. This person shouted in a low voice. The dense runes surged and formed a strange force that covered the sky, and it swiftly pressed down on Lin Tian, causing Lin Tian's formidable physique to be unable to help but tremble slightly. A strand of cold air couldn't help but rise from his flesh and blood, and it seemed as if it wanted to annihilate his flesh and blood. Obviously, the former specialized in attacking the soul, while the latter possessed a strange force that could disintegrate the body. This is the divine curse art? Lin Tian was moved, and a wisp of bright light flashed through his eyes. Could this be the spell realm? When he first entered the celestial domain, he'd read many ancient books in the celestial domain, and he knew many things. In the boundless starry sky, besides the celestial domain, there were numerous large worlds that were far stronger than the boundless starry sky. These large worlds were centered around the celestial domain, and they weren't much inferior to the celestial domain. All of them were incomparably vast, and they were surrounded by immortal spirit energy that was far stronger than spirit energy. As for the spell realm, it was one of the many great worlds. According to the records of the ancient books, the cultivators of the spell realm mainly cultivated the divine curse art. It was miraculous and strange, and it possessed extremely astonishing divine power. "Are you scared, silly?" A cold voice sounded. The blue-clothed youth spoke, taking Lin Tion's silent contemplation as being frightened by his and the black-clothed youth's techniques. When Lin Tian heard this, he looked at this person with an indifferent gaze. These two people's techniques were strange and extraordinary. To be able to cause his soul and body to tremble, it could be said that they were extremely powerful. However, this was not a threat to him. After all, although his current cultivation was only at the early stage of the Golden Immortal Realm, his combat strength was far from what these two people could compare to. It was enough to crush these two people. And in the face of overwhelming combat strength, no matter how powerful the divine technique or secret technique was, it was meaningless. Looking at this person, the divine power in his body moved, and a golden divine flame surged out, directly burning the incantation patterns that the blue-clothed youth and the black-clothed youth pressed against his body in the blink of an eye. Pure yang flame? The blue-clothed youth's expression changed. At the same time, the black-clothed youth beside him was also greatly shocked. Pure yang flame, the legendary divine flame, was enough to burn everything. Even divine power and laws were no exception. They did not expect Lin Tian to actually control such a terrifying divine flame. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. His figure moved slightly, and in the next moment, he appeared in front of the blue-clothed youth like a ghost. Without any unnecessary words, he still simply pressed down with a punch. His pure physical strength was terrifyingly powerful. Moreover, at the same time, the golden pure yang flame also surrounded the tip of his fist and pressed down with his fist. Ah! The blue-clothed youth let out a miserable scream and was directly smashed into pieces by this punch. Like the yellow-robed youth, his body and soul were directly destroyed. The cold expression on the black-clothed youth's face had long disappeared. At this moment, he revealed a look of horror. He immediately turned around and fled. He raised his hand and shot out a divine light towards the center of the mountain range. The divine light was extremely fast and instantly disappeared into the distance. Chapter 1634. Lin Tian's expression remained unchanged as he watched the black-clothed young man flee into the distance. With a slight movement of his feet, he traversed an endless distance and appeared in front of the black-clothed young man in the next moment, blocking his path. The black-clothed young man was startled. He quickly changed his direction and fled in another direction. At this time, he already understood that he, the blue-clothed young man, and the yellow-robed young man had kicked an iron plate this time. The person in front of him was definitely not someone he could contend with now. Now, the only way to save his life was to escape. However, Lin Tian's speed was much faster than his. In a flash, he blocked his escape route and slapped down. Puff! The powerful palm was incomparably powerful. Intertwined with pure yang flames, the black-clothed young man was smashed into pieces on the spot. However, this time, he did not directly kill this person like the yellow-robed young man and the blue-clothed young man. He only destroyed this person's physical body and left his spirit behind. Then, he used the power of the four-symbol seal to detain this person in front of him. Boy, the divine light he shot out just now. The white tiger looked at the center of the mountain range. Just now, the black-clothed young man shot out a divine light in that direction. Lin Tian glanced in that direction and said, "It's nothing more than reporting about us to the powerhouses and the forces behind them. It's no big deal." As he spoke, his gaze fell on the black-clothed young man's spirit that was imprisoned by his four-symbol seal. What are you doing?" Looking at Lin Tian, the black-clothed young man's eyes were filled with fear. Lin Tian ignored the other party. He immediately released his divine sense and directly plunged it into this person's spirit, violently searching everything in this person's spirit. Soon, dozens of breaths passed. He withdrew his divine sense that had plunged into this person's spirit. Then, he casually threw out a pure yang flame and burned this person's spirit. "How is it? What did you find?" Do you know where we are now? The white tiger asked. The spell realm. Lin Tiandao. Just as he had guessed, the space that he and the white tiger entered through the spatial rift in the black hole was indeed the spell realm. The strange technique that the young man in blue and the young man in black used before was indeed the curse god technique. Spell realm? The white tiger was slightly doubtful. This was the first time it had heard of these two words. After all, it had never been to the celestial realm, so it didn't know much about the other great worlds that were parallel to the celestial realm. A great world far vaster than the starry skies, not much different from the immortal realms. Lin Tiandao, tell the white tiger about the spell realm. Almost the same as the immortal region? The white tiger was shocked. Although it had never been to the immortal region, it naturally knew about the legends of the immortal region. Hearing Lin Tian say that this spell realm was not much different from the immortal region, it was naturally somewhat shocked. Lin Tian, on the other hand, tilted his head and looked towards the center of the mountain range. Earlier, from the soul of the young man in black, not only did he confirm that this world was the spell realm, but he also learned some other things. The young man in black, the young man in blue, and the young man in yellow were the disciples of an extremely ancient clan in the spell realm. The clan was called the Southern Night Clan, and it was extremely powerful in the entire spell realm. There were many experts in the clan. This time, many experts of the Southern Night Clan had entered this mountain range for the ancient artifact in the Nine Silkworm Immortal King's immortal abode that the young man in blue had mentioned earlier. Just the profound immortals alone numbered more than 100, and there were even a few half-step heaven immortal experts coming together. The lineup could be said to be extremely shocking. The young man in yellow, the young man in blue, and the young man in black followed the experts of the clan and patrolled the periphery of this mountain range. They were on guard against anyone who entered to prevent the experts of the clan from searching for the ancient artifact. During the patrolling process, no matter who entered this mountain range during this period, they would be dealt with obliteration. God devouring Tao. He muttered. From the soul of the young man in black, it was difficult to clearly state the exact grade of that ancient artifact, but it was extremely powerful. It possessed the extremely shocking ability of God devouring Tao, and it could help the wielder devour the divine energy and Tao energy of the enemy. The wielder of this ancient artifact could be invincible no matter who the opponent was in the same realm, and he had left behind an illustrious reputation in the entire history of the spell realm's cultivation. God devouring Tao? What are you talking about? The white tiger was slightly puzzled. Lin Tian naturally didn't hide anything and simply told it about the ancient artifact. Immediately, the white tiger was shocked. So exaggerated? Anyone who controls it is able to be invincible in the same realm. Doesn't that mean that any ordinary early-stage golden immortal cultivator who controls it can sweep through anyone below the profound immortal realm? Any ordinary early-stage profound immortal cultivator who controls it can remain undefeated under the heaven immortal realm? According to the knowledge of that ancient artifact in that person's soul, it is indeed so. Lin Tianandao. The white tiger was even more shocked. This, if that was really the case, then the ancient artifact was too terrifying. In terms of value, it was comparable to a peak Emperor Divine weapon, or even more shocking than an Emperor Divine weapon. Boom! Suddenly, a powerful divine power appeared from afar. 5 figures rushed towards this place and arrived in the blink of an eye. These were 5 middle-aged men. The divine power fluctuations outside their bodies were very dense, with a faint, profound, immortal aura. All of them were at the half-step profound immortal realm. They belonged to the same clan as those 3 people just now. Because of the divine light released by that black-robed kid, they came here from the center of this mountain range. The white tiger was immediately moved. Kill them. The 5 middle-aged men were indeed from the same clan as the blue-robed youth and the yellow-robed youth, and they did come here because of the divine light released by the black-robed youth. That divine light contained the figures of Lin Tian and the white tiger, as well as the fact that Lin Tiansha had killed the blue-robed youth and the yellow-robed youth. When they arrived here at this moment, the 5 middle-aged men directly made a move. Moreover, they attacked together without holding back in the slightest. Obviously, they didn't want the matter of their clans searching for the ancient artifact that possessed the ability to devour gods and the Tao to be disturbed in the slightest. Moreover, they wanted to prevent others from discovering this matter and leaking it out. As the 5 men attacked together, the entire void rumbled, as if it would collapse in the next moment. Facing such divine power, the white tiger couldn't help but tremble. It asked Lin Tiandao, "Kid, can you beat them?" It knew that Lin Tian was very powerful. He had just entered the early stage of Golden Immortal, but he could kill a peak Golden Immortal expert. But now, facing 5 half-step Profound Immortals, it was not sure whether Lin Tian could withstand them. After all, although half-step Profound Immortals were still in the realm of Golden Immortals, their combat strength was far beyond that of peak Golden Immortals. "I can't beat them with my own combat strength." Lin Tiandao didn't show any fear on his face. He looked very calm. "But don't worry about them. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.